This is the state of the nation. Irifa Uganda. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The state of the nation with Henry Ssali. Welcome. My name is Henry Ssali, and I'm delighted to serve you tonight, today, this morning. From wherever you are coming from, I'm delighted to see you. And I just want to congratulate Ugandans for continuing to be resilient and pursuing what they really deserve as citizens. Today, I want to begin with a story, a small story. So for decades, Ugandans, especially Uganda's brightest minds, they have dreamed of reaching the center of power through State House, Parliament, Cabinet, the diplomatic corps, and international organizations. We have often believed that changing Uganda begins at the top. But what if we have been looking in the wrong direction? What if the future of Uganda will not be decided in Kampala, but in Bamutakudde? Not in parliament, not in village council, and not by the president alone, but by ordinary citizens who choose to serve where life actually happens. You know, there's an old African wisdom that says that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the second best time is today. So perhaps nation building works the same way. I believe that we do not merely inherit strong nations. We build them. One school, one healthcare center, one parish, one village, and one generation at a time. Today's discussion is inspired by a question larger than politics itself. What if Uganda's brightest minds choose to serve where the nation is built first, the village level? Our conversation is inspired by the example of Serwanjja, an accomplished journalist who has chosen to seek leadership as LC1 chairperson for Bamutakudde village. Now, whether one supports his candidacy or not, that's not tonight's conversation. The larger question is, have we underestimated the power of local leadership in transforming nations? Today, in studio with me is Dr. Stella Nyanzi, who is also going to interrogate this question further. But most importantly, Serwanjja as well. At this moment, I'm going to invite Dr. Stella Nyanzi to introduce herself, and we shall delve into this conversation before we invite Serwanjja to introduce himself and answer a few questions that we have for him. I'm pretty sure that similar questions that I have, you probably already have. For those of you who have lost loved ones, we commiserate with you. For all the communities in the diaspora, we appreciate the conversations you engage in on a regular basis, especially in regard to building our nation. I think this conversation is going to be very beneficial for you. Dr. Stella, how are you doing today?
Hi, Henry. Thank you very much for organizing today's panel. Once again, I'm glad to join you. And this time, I think you've chosen a really interesting topic that is very close to my heart. The topic about service, the topic about leadership, the topic about how the creme de la creme of Ugandan society can participate meaningfully towards governance, leadership questions of our country today. I'm very well, thanks. And I'm looking forward to engaging with the story of Solomon Serwanjja, a journalist whose work I really admire. I was one of the few people who sat to be interviewed by Solomon, and he was always professional. He was always professional when he interviewed me many years ago when I was still home. And I've sort of followed Solomon's career after he left NBS television, and I think he's one of the leading journalists we have in the country, specifically doing investigative journalism. And so for me, it's wonderful that I'm sitting with him this evening to learn more from him about the topic you chose for this evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stella. And of course, Solomon is going to be joining us shortly. He was with us earlier, but he's trying to re-strategically get the visuals that he also appreciates. Now, we have talked about what he has accomplished, both as a journalist, but also as a scholar. I understand right now is in the midst of completing his PhD as well. It is fascinating that he has chosen to run as LC1 chairperson at the time when most of us so-called scholars are pursuing different directions. Some people, especially folks in the diaspora, have been grappling with the question of whether they can be accepted as ministers or serving ministers in Uganda. Others are pursuing MP positions in different areas. But most importantly, we have not taken time to engage in this very important conversation on how to build government institutions and whether they are built from the top or from the bottom. Why is it that Ugandan elites are focusing so much on pursuing the presidency or other more seemingly respectable positions than going back to the ground, to their home villages, and starting to build the nation from the ground up?
Right. So Solomon, is interesting because I didn't realize he was in the process of doing his PhD. So I wish him well. Many, good wishes for success. The PhD is very hectic, but also it is the highest level of achievement within education in any discipline that one can get. Everything after the PhD is just a bonus. One can do postdoctoral fellowships, one can become a professor, but the PhD is the highest accolade in any discipline within the academy, especially formal Western education. And I think that therefore seals the fact that you're saying that we are the very best, those of us with PhDs. Your own journey, I'm sure you can attest to this, that it's very hard work to not only start, but also endure up to the end. Many Ugandans many human beings start the PhD journey and drop away before they actually graduate to become Dr. Solomon Serwanjja, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, Dr. Henry Ssali. And so having studied for the PhD, I think that in poor economies in countries such as Uganda, often the expectation is that one then goes home or proceeds wherever they are to undertake their profession. They get a job, they go into business or industry, and the expectation therefore is that they will continue with their profession. In my case, after my PhD, I graduated in London, and I wrote to a professor of law at Makerere University to give me a job. And she says, there are no jobs, but you can come and do research. So the first 3 years after my PhD in London, I went home to Makerere, and I was based in the School of Law, working for a contract as I waited for my job, which I eventually undertook at Makerere Institute of Social Research as a research fellow employed within the Public Service of Uganda. Now I had my job, I had my salary that took care of my needs together with my children. I was also living in a highly urbanizing area outside Kampala in Chira municipality, where there was an opportunity to serve at the village level. We had a number of security issues.
Right.
And I was very interested in participating in community thinking and organizing and planning and managing and setting up a security mechanism for our village. Was called Bulindo. Gated compounds. The vast majority of homes were these very nice, perimeter walled high rises. And I was living in a bungalow with my children. And so there was an opportunity that was advertised using WhatsApp. We had village WhatsApp messages. Our villagers, the people in the villages, the citizens, the residents, were sort of signed up onto church-based WhatsApp groups. And I joined the WhatsApp group where we began discussing security issues, because young men who are building temporary lodges within Bulindo would in the evenings pick things from people's compounds. Yeah. And then there were a few issues where young women walking in the night, before we had streetlights in Bulindo, would get hijacked and threatened and sometimes robbed by these young men. So in the village WhatsApp group, we decided to have a meeting at one of the churches, the oldest churches in the area. And during the village meeting, we decided to set up our own local council, because the LC1s were almost dead. Actually, they were not functional anymore in 2017, 2018, when I was living in Bulindo. And so we began these discussions. In Bulindo. And I don't know what inspired Solomon to run for chairman LC1. But for me, when there was an opportunity to begin populating the LC1 committee, we had 11 positions, which sort of echoed the system that we have today in the LC1 village committees that are going to be re-elected this week, I think, the coming week. And so the position for woman LC1 was taken by somebody else, but I was voted to be secretary for the LC1 of Bulindo village. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think for me that the greatest fulfillment, some of the best fulfillment I've achieved from community organizing was when I was serving as the LC1 secretary of Bulindo village. I was responsible for minute taking, and minute taking meant that I had to attend all the meetings we had, whether they were online or offline. And many times the physical meetings were around things like cleaning, security, which I talked about, and then there were water shortages. That year, there was a drought, and the pump in that area was not pumping water up to our water tankers. Many of us had reserve water tankers. And so part of what we did as an LC1 was I reached out actually to the National Water and Sewerage Corporation people, first politely, then I complained. And I remember one time that they drove a huge tank of water, and the pleasure of sending a message to the villagers in the WhatsApp group: bring your buckets and your pails and your whatevers, bring even little pickups, bring your wheelbarrows full of, water containers, and come and get water. And then I said to the National Water and Sewerage Corporation, can you set up a system of regularly bringing us water until the problem is rectified. So in the short term period, as secretary of Bulindo LC1, I was able to organize and then hand over this water tanker bringing sort of voluntary service to Bulindo LC1. And maybe as Solomon, settles into his seat and comes to the podium, I also want to share the village security that we set up. Because like I said, there were these young men who are building the houses of these wealthy PhD holders and private entrepreneurs. Many times in the evenings, they would walk around and either threaten especially younger women who are walking alone or coming home on borders, or they would pick things, petty thieving in the compounds. And I remember in one of the village LC1 meetings that the acting LC1 chairman, whom we had elected, suggested that we have what they called community watch, where our different homes would volunteer able-bodied youth. And my sons, who are in their, mid-teens, I volunteered my sons to participate in this community security watch. And it was very good because they then would work with older men. We had groups of sometimes 3, sometimes 4, and they'd do particular hours when the security risk happened. And, we had to sort of get them a torch, get them boots, as we worked on resuscitating the LDU, the village LDU, local defense unit. And we took, I remember we Twasonda, we fundraised for a man who had been appointed into the position of defense secretary for our village to go for training. And then when he came back, the village watch sort of reduced and our young people would go to him to support him. And so I worked on water as an individual and gave the sort of initiative to the village to work with Water and Sewerage Corporation. I remember the security community watches that we'd have in the evening. And maybe the very last thing I want to share is, as I was secretary of the village council, I remember that there were old women, the Bataka, the landowners, whose land had been bought, and many of them didn't have their immediate families around them, and some of them were ill. Now, I remember that we had medical doctors living in our village, but they were not really involved in the affairs of Bulindo. Many of them in the morning would wake up, drive their cars to the hospitals or go to their private clinics. But when I told the LC1 chairman about these elderly women who needed care, there was a call for medical doctors on the WhatsApp group to volunteer services. And I remember that the chairman had one of the women doctors who was based, I think, at Makerere, reaching out to other doctors she knew within our village. And then we had a village health, not the village health team, the VHTs, which happen in the villages in rural areas, but there was a semi-committee of health workers who then volunteered to do checkups and to visit these elderly women. And I remember one time we had to sort of fundraise food because one of the judges who were attending these once a month clinics had a shortage of food. And so charity became very much a service that we encouraged the wealthier members of our village to render, without convenience, to the less able members of the village. So for me, because I was neither a medical doctor nor very wealthy, my biggest role was coordinating and keeping minutes. And I
Right.
wasn't a secretary for very long because I was arrested in 2018. But the short period, about a year that I served as the secretary of the LC1 of Bulindo, it was very
Mm.
fulfilling for me to work on small projects, see them coming to an end, see my minutes where we'd have things to do, see that to-do list being ticked off, and then reporting back to the village was a deep honor. So thank you for organizing the space. I think my PhD did not diminish or dim or get minimized because I was being serving as secretary of an LC1 village. If anything, I found myself living a very fulfilled life as I got engaged in the affairs of Bulindo village.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stella. What you're describing here is real impact. And you're describing it with clarity, right? What you did to impact folks in Bulindo, on Bulindo village, right? And the fact that you also clearly tell the world that you are never diminished, no, felt like you're not enough. Your PhD stayed as a PhD. You served the people. You got solutions, right? You got water for the people of Blindo, but you also helped build the neighborhood watch, right? You helped fundraise to train the LDU at that time in Blindo. So what you are telling us here is that to build our nation, we don't need necessarily to pursue MP or become the president of the nation, even though you later on were also pursuing the MP of Kampala. So, I guess I want to tell us the paradoxes why we are choosing becoming the MP of Kampala, because this will open up for me the window to ask Solomon what was his thought process when he decided that, you know, what I should be doing is LC1, despite being the executive director of AIIJ, despite pursuing my PhD at the moment. What I should be doing right now is becoming the LC1 chairman, because that's where I think my impact to community will be more significant. But most especially, even though I stay in the city, why I should be going back to Bamutakudde. Dr. Stella, why did you later on, towards 2021, pursue MP instead of running for LC1 again? Because perhaps you would still be more impactful and you probably wouldn't be in the diaspora as you are right now.
So I think for me that these are totally different things, right? I volunteered to I volunteered to accept, because one can be elected to be secretary LC1 and say no, but I volunteered to accept to participate as a member of our village LC1 in the position of secretary. You know, secretary is perhaps one of the most lowly and unappreciated, unrecognized jobs, because for me, I was interested in being a part of the change makers, finding solutions for Bulindo village. I lived in Bulindo. My children lived in Bulindo. The issues around security of Bulindo were my issues, my children's issues, and I wanted to be part of the solutions.
Right.
Also because I was beginning to live there fresh, like I was a new entry into the community, serving on the LC1 committee allowed me to meet the community members, know who was doing what. I remember that my children did not have friends because we had moved from where we were living before and gone to Bulindo. My children didn't have very many friends. So I was interested in knowing, where are the mothers of children? Where do they go? What do they do? What can we do within Bulindo to provide for our children? And as I said, so for me, the LC1 service was really about changing and participating in immediate solution, solving problems for a community in which I was living, right? And The cost of being an LC1 secretary for me, I wasn't paid at all. If anything, I was using my own money to mobilize. And as I say to you, I was using my own initiatives to find solutions. And I was working together with others who are finding solutions. We had an amazing LC1 chairman. Now, the MP Kampala woman member of parliament was really political for me. I was interested in participating in the politics of the country as a challenger, because I contested within the opposition, within FDC, and participating in the national elections in 2021 for me was an opportunity to participate in those important questions at the national level, right? Perhaps our impact was not as immediate as my impact as a secretary LC1. Perhaps the cost of participation was much higher, because as a member of parliament, when I was candidate for member of parliament, woman member of parliament, Kampala, the request and demands on my time, my money, my resources, my skills was shocking. Kampala voters sponge off their members of parliament. Even though I only stopped at the election and I wasn't successful in terms of making it to parliament, I had lists of people who were ill and wanted me to either give them a referral or refer them to a doctor or pay for their bills. I had to attend funerals. I had to attend weddings. I had to go to speeches. I had to circulate, and I was spreading myself very thin. Many times to strangers. Sometimes I fell for for saboteurs, people who wanted things not because they were in need, but because the politics in Uganda is very monetized and commercialized. Yeah. Now, as LC1, I was appointed without any fee. I was appointed. We had names circulated. There was one contestant, and then two of us were nominated. And then when it came to time for voting, she stepped down for me, and I became the secretary. Very simple, right? So in terms of your question, why did I decide to run for member of, and then the decision to run for member of parliament for me was also about my security, because I was a target for constant arrests. And my hope had been that by participating in the national elections, my security would be much more enhanced because of the visibility. There's no visibility for LC1 secretary. Nobody knows. In fact, I don't think that the people in Bulindo remember that I was ever their secretary at LC1 village, apart from the lives, my neighbors whose lives whose lives I impacted. And so in terms of the comparison, I think that given my education, my skills, my networks, my embeddedness within Bulindo, that service was a lot easier, more achievable. My goals were very modest as secretary. It was much easier to attain them and get the fulfillment that comes from service when I was a secretary, LC1 Bulindo village. So I think it's different questions. When it came to LC1 secretary, I was involved in service in my community. I was involved in thinking around defense and security, problem solving, and all of that. Many times I deputized for our vice chair and our chair. Sometimes I had that stamp, the famous stamp that people talk about. But yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, Henry. Only muted.
Oh, yeah, you have certainly answered my question, and I appreciate your candidness, especially on this very important topic. You kept referring to the notion of serving your community, and you seem to separate Uganda, the Ugandan community as a country, to the village community. So you seem to indicate that, or you seem to indicate that the state is different from the village community, right? But before there is parliament, there is a family. Before there is the cabinet, there is the community. which means that before there is a nation, there is a village, right? So what you are doing in the village could be the same thing that you could be doing in parliament, except it's a bigger village. The parliament is a bigger village that brings together smaller villages to discuss issues of smaller villages at the national level. So perhaps the village is not the lowest level of government, and perhaps really it is the highest level of citizenship. So I wonder what your thoughts are regarding village democracy. Do you think villages where democracy should be nurtured? Is it the true laboratory of democracy? And could we infer that if democracy fails at the village level, it's deemed to fail at the national level as well?
I mean, look, so when I was in Bulindo, when the 2018 elections happened, actually, I remember that the young man we trained to be the security, the defense, or what defense, worked so well in terms of troubleshooting and identifying, apprehending, and bringing to the LC1 the
Right.
names of these young thugs who were harassing villagers and engaged in petty theft. And we had a village LC1 meeting to talk about what would happen. We invited the landlords whose property these young men were taking care of, and we had conversations, and we actually solved this problem. Some were referred to the police station, some we gave warnings, some were chased away from the village. Together we talked together, we consulted their landlords, and they said, if he's the person you identified, let him go back to the village, etc. So that young man, who was an NRM member, because he worked so well, I remember that when the LC1 elections came up, that together as a village, we all decided, I was in FDC at the time, a young man, George Musisi, who is in NUP, at that time, although we were all not in NRM, we decided to support this young man who was our defense secretary. We decided to support his run for chair, LC1. Now, in terms of, so my role then again as secretary, we did a small fundraiser. We had a treasurer who got some money to support this young man. This is 2018. And I remember I was tasked with getting his posters, because at LC1, we had to put up posters, And I remember there was some competition for him from a member that was floated by my party, my political party, FDC, because at the time, Serwanjja was the MP of Chira, and Chira is the municipality in which Bulindo was. But I remember being very conflicted as an FDC member. And in the first time the young man launched his LC1 chair, Kakuyege, I was up on a track with him, a microphone in my hands, advertising for his candidature. Now, as an FDC member, there were our party had not yet brought up a candidate. So before they did, I supported this young man. His name was Mukasa. He's NRM. And I was doing it because, for me, in terms of service, he had really served Bulindo, and I wanted him to be my LC1 chairman. Now, in terms of the backlash, the question around democracy is because I was a political party member when FDC then brought a candidate against Mr. Mukasa, Lawrence Mukasa, who was NRM, there was a conflict. And I remember my party members telling me, Nyanzi tubulire, of the two, who are you supporting? I had already gone around Bulindo, their schools, and pasted Mr. Lawrence Mukasa's posters with his NRM, because for me it was about service at the LC1 level. Now, in terms of democracy, I think because of my partisan, membership, eventually I pulled out of publicly supporting Mr. Mukasa, because I was a member of FDC But and our party had a candidate, but the whole village knew Stella Nyanzi supported Mukasa. And when he won, I went to his party. I went to his village party as LC1 chairman. So your question about where democracy starts, I think that we should be able to participate in tolerant village competition for the LC1 chair. If we can't do that, if we can't contest honorably at LC1 level, how then can we do it at the national level? Is an important question. I think I nurtured my children to live together in our house when we had NUP members, NRM members, and FDC members, because they had friends who would come from families. Bulindo was majority NRM. The people with whom my children play football belong to NRM families. I was FDC, and then there were a number of NUP members. So although we were in different political parties, and it could have been a problem, I think I appreciate how our LC1 committee had NRM, NUP, at the time it was People Power, and FDC members, right? And so right from village level, we were already I think we were being unique in that moment, because we'd sit together on our LC1 committee, and I was a secretary in FDC serving an NRM chair. You know, when it came to troubleshooting the problems we had in our area, when we were fundraising and giving the money to the treasurer is an NUP guy. So I think that pluralism, multipartyism cannot be practiced at the top if we can't practice it in our villages. I didn't choose who my landlord at the time was an NRM staunch member. How does one live as an FDC person in the house of an NRM supporter?
Right.
And yet I was very secure. He secured me when many others could not give us a house, because I'd been a prisoner in 2017. Right. I came looking for a house in 2018, and his household that are NRM members housed me. So I haven't talked about nurturing democracy per se, but I'm talking about breathing and living democracy, living tolerance, living with multi-partisan, the multi-partisan dispensation. We have multiple parties, and yet we have to live in communities where we all have an equal stake, right?
Right. What I hear you say is that when your kids are playing soccer with kids from NRM households or UPC households or all other political parties, what I hear in that conversation is that you were building public trust is important. It's the same thing that I hear you when you say that your landlord was staunch NRM, and here you are a staunch FDC, to the extent that you even at some point, because of the conflict between selecting an NRM chairperson and an FDC chairperson, you chose to withdraw from public campaigns because you already knew what your convictions were at the moment. You knew who would be more impactful in the community. You knew who people would trust to serve them. You chose to stay away, even though you were staunch FDC and you had your allegiance to the party. When I hear all these small conversations, what I hear you say is it's very important for people who engage in public service to build public trust. And by participating across party lines, create positive impact in our village communities, we are building that public trust. And in essence, we are also building democracy, because we learn to tolerate each other. We learn to tolerate folks that fundamentally disagree with us ideologically, and also learn to listen to them, because it's important to listen. What you're telling us is that it is important for Ugandans and other folks to ensure that as we engage in building our communities, we also learn to tolerate each other. Because when we are able to tolerate each other at the family levels, easier to tolerate each other at the national level. I know you probably have another engagement, but do you want to wrap up given what I've said before I invite Mr. Serwanjja to tell us about his journey and his story?
I mean, maybe in 1 minute, I can just say for me that I really look forward to learning from Solomon and to hearing how come he decided to go back to Bamutakudde and his anticipation and what sort of challenges he's meeting and what sort of support he needs from those of us who are watching the space. And I promise to come back at the top of the next hour. Thank you so much, Henry, for organizing the space. I look forward to learning from Solomon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stella, and I'll keep you posted as we continue to engage in this conversation. So my friend Solomon is trying to settle in as well, to ensure that he has a strong internet to engage with us. But in the meantime, I want to encourage all folks who are following us to share this podcast with among your friends. I want you to invite more people to come and listen in, because this is important. We need to understand how to build our communities. How do we build our communities? Is it going to be sustainable if we start from the bottom up? Or should we continue pursuing the top positions in anticipation that is the way to go when we are building our country? These are not rhetorical questions. These are questions that deserve real answers from real people, because I understand that Ugandans really love their country and they're looking for real solutions beside the bickering that might arise because of the lack of rule of law from the governors of our country, from all other things that may not necessarily amuse us when we engage at service levels. What are your thoughts when you see Mr. Solomon Serwanjja choosing to run for LC1 chairperson, given his caliber, his status as one of the most accomplished journalists in Uganda, someone who has served in different capacities, but also someone who has received a BBC award for journalism? What comes to your mind when you see him pursuing LC1 chairperson? And perhaps he's going to be able to answer these questions for us. I'm just going to make sure that he's ready to share before I can bring him on.
Yeah. Hi, Henry. Yeah. So I'm just about 2 minutes away, 3 minutes away, but maybe I could start with the audio, and then we can switch to the audio visual. Just briefly, if that's okay. If not, then you can buy me about like 2 or 3 minutes as I settle in. I don't know what is better.
We can certainly start with the audio, and then later on, when you're settled in, we can engage more productively. So, Solomon, most ambitious Ugandans dream of becoming MPs, ministers, perhaps even presidents. You have chosen to begin at the village level. Why? Why LC1? And why Bamutakudde? Do you see, what do you see that others may not may have overlooked in Bamutakudde?
All right, so, Henry, thank you for having me. It's about 1 minute to 7 p.m. EAT. Good evening to everyone who is watching us from within the East African region, and good afternoon, good morning to everyone who is listening to us from the diaspora. I'm really privileged to be here to share this story that I think has started conversations across the country on returning to the basics. Firstly, I need to say that my heart is full ever since I declared that I'm going to be standing for LC1 elections at my village level. It has attracted national attention in terms of is it the time for us as elites to go back to our villages and serve at local level? I mean, for example, the LC1 local administration has been seen as one for the people who have not gone to school. There's a friend who told me, but why are you going for a P7 dropout position? You've stooped so low. It is not, you're overqualified for the position. You have a PhD in journalism. You are the ED. You have, you're a reputable person who would have gone for member of parliament. And I was telling them, and that there is the problem, that the most important roles in our villages have been reduced to be led by drunkards and, P7 dropouts. And that is the mentality that we need to change. Look, the village is the smallest unit of a country. It starts there. It starts there because we all come from villages. Members of parliament come from villages. The president comes from a village.
Indeed.
Ministers come from villages. We all come from villages. The problem is many of us just wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., drive to town, come back to our homes in those villages at about 9 or 10 p.m., and we sleep and wake up and do the same. So we've turned our villages into a bed that you just come and sleep and leave. When they call for village meetings, none of us go for those village meetings because we are so busy running everything else but our villages. The village is the central smallest place where everything starts. No wonder President Museveni has gone very strongly on the parish development model. Many of us did not understand him. Why would we go for the parish development model? He's going for the parish development model because he knows that's where the power is. Grassroots mobilization at village level is very important. For the development of our people, we need to take the villages very important. We need to know that change starts there. I mean, yes, national development should start at the village level. And therefore, the leadership at the village level is very important and central to building a nation. Sustainable development. Let's take an example of access to clean water. When we leave the village to the people who we think are the lowest of our society, when villages have challenges and problems, we could never know that those units have problems and challenges. But when we go back and impact our society with the experience and expertise that we have got over the years through public resource management and finance, through public administration, the expertise that we get in project writing and proposal writing and project management and project implementation, when we take our skill sets back to our villages on accountability and strategic planning for the village, then we will have that impact that we have. And I felt that it was time for me to go back and impact the society and the community that I come from. The village of Bamutakudde is located in Champisi sub-county, and it is located in Mukono North constituency and Mukono district. So this is where I stay. This is where I built my home. This is where my children have been raised. This is where, I'm going to be buried. I wake up to this village every morning. I stay here. I have seen the impact of when we have leaders that are not connected to the people, when we have leaders who just are drunkards or P7 dropouts, or leaders who just want to get every resource from the village, who are not interested in solving challenges for the village, just interested in taking money. I've seen the impact of that. And so that really has inspired to me to say, look, my village can be better. My village can be a model village if I brought my expertise in public resource management, in project design, in project management, in following up the resources that the government gives up to the local level. I believe that there I will have more impact than being a member of parliament who is going to do largely, legislation oversight and representation. I believe that with that, going back to that village and giving my expertise and solving village challenges, I'll be more impactful. I'll give you an example, Henry. At the village, for example, we have a challenge of access to water. But perhaps before I can talk about access to water, as a village, we've not been having village meetings. I don't know for how many years. The LC chairperson has never called us to have a village meeting, as basic as that, to talk about the challenges that we are having as a community, right? We don't have a strategic plan. One of the things I'm looking forward to when I get into office is to do the village strategic plan. I am an executive director somewhere where we have a strategic plan for the organization that guides the things that we're going to be doing throughout the entire 5 years. This tenure is 5 years. If we sat down together and did a strategic plan for the village, and we did a budget for the implementation of that strategic plan, and we focused on implementing our strategic plan, I believe that we'll be in a better position to serve our people better, to look for resources and mobilize for the resources to meet our budgets. My village has challenges that haven't been sorted for the last 5 years that for example, LC has been in power, the LC from the chairperson. We have challenges with water. Henry, people go to the well and dip their jerry cans in a well in this day and age. We are talking about a village which is in Mukono, which wants to be transformed into Greater Kampala Metropolitan, right? I'm not talking about Masaka or deep there in Hoima, in Karamoja. No. No, I am talking about a village in Mukono. We have a challenge with water. Now, we can easily, yes, we have a challenge with water, but yet the village collects about 10 to 15 million shillings every month. Now, for a village that collects every month, not to have a basic access to clean water is a problem. And that problem starts from leadership. So if, for example, and one of the things we want to break here is to get that thing of LC chairpersons getting money and thinking that that money is theirs. It is not your money. It is the village money. And therefore that money has to be used to benefit the village. But because we have reduced LC1 chairperson to eating money, the LC1 actually signs land agreements. And the village is supposed to get 10% of that money. But guess what happens? The LC thinks that that money is his. That money is not for the LC chairperson. You hold that office in public trust. And therefore, it is important that that money is actually used to benefit the village. But because there are no accountability systems and mechanisms, that money is swindled and there is clearly no accountability whatsoever for the funds, even when the village has challenges like access to water. So one of the things I'm looking forward to is to open a bank account for the village so that every money that is resource mobilized goes to the village account, so that
Are you suggesting that you don't have a bank
implement.
account?
No, we don't have a bank account for the village because you see, Henry, we're operating our LC system informally.
Interesting.
Chairman kyagala kyakola tewali amugambako. So we don't have that system. We have reduced the LC system to informally. That is why the educated say that those are positions for the P7's dropouts, for drunkards. Why are you stooping yourself so low? Because of the informality of the LC system. So what brings me back is to formalize our LC system. Is for us to open a bank account for the village. Is to make sure that the money that comes from the different resource mobilization goes to the village account, and that it helps us implement the strategic plan of the village so that we can take the village forward. Less of that, we will continue operating in informal structures and systems and will not have any services. I can guarantee you, Henry, that the challenge that we've been having is exactly that. Is exactly that. But my job here, when I go through and when the people of Bamutakudde village give me an opportunity, is to say, look, I manage organizations. I am here to set up systems that are going to help us to actually deliver results. Yeah.
What do you say to people who think that elites talk a lot and never do anything? And that even when you suggest all these good things that sound amazing, you may not be able to implement them because, as you have said, there's no structure, and you're going to face a lot of backlash from your colleagues because becoming an LC1 chairman does not make you the sole decision maker. You have to work with 8 other people to make the committee function and to be able to implement some of these strategic plans that you have in your vision as LC1 chairperson. How are you going to manage the naysayers that think that you're just talk and not someone is going to actually get things done?
Listen,
even though you
man,
have succeeded at the level of running an entity as executive director, even though you're pursuing your PhD, how do you correlate what you're doing at the top with how a village functions? Besides signing letters, recommendation letters, and so resolving land disputes.
You see, Henry, something should be very clear here, crystal clear, really clear. I come from a place where systems work. When you place systems, they work, and you make sure that those systems work. If they don't work, then you change the system. You see, leadership fails because of the top leader. That's why we say the Museveni administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration. The top leader of the village should be operated like a country. Look, I'm not talking about things that I don't know because they're working in the organization I lead. When we sit together and say, look, Abatuze, can we come and talk about what actually is a challenge?
Works. Yeah, right.
We come together as a village and say, what is the problem that is affecting us as a village?
Right.
We don't have access to clean water. We have security problems. It is always dark as people are walking on the roads.
That's right.
We have challenges. Yes, we have challenges. We have challenges here and there.
Right.
So, Henry, if you just hold for me up, I'm just going to settle
Switch.
in. Just hold for me for a minute or two, and then I am settled in. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah.
Well, You have heard what Solomon is telling us. I think these are real issues that he's articulating. He's not someone who's theoretical. He is someone who seems to be practical. He lives in Bamutakudde village. He has told us that his kids have grown up in Bamutakudde. He also has testified that for so long they haven't had village meetings. So there's no deliberative democracy. Current leaders apparently do not pursue ideas from villagers or folks who live in the village to understand how to resolve the challenges. For instance, he also cited the lack of clean water. In the age of AI, people of Bamutakudde are still dumping jerry cans into water to grab water, into wells to get water. I think these are real issues. And if they are coming from someone who lives in the local vicinity of Bamutakudde, who says that given his expertise, what he has done, he is able to come and offer his expertise in rebuilding systems in Bamutakudde to ensure that his village works as a model village for Uganda, to ensure that each and every villager of Bamutakudde elevates themselves because they have a system where they can go to which they can utilize to better their lives, their lifestyles. I think these are worthy listening to. This is a man that is worth listening to. This is a man that is worth giving a chance at the village level without necessarily dismissing him because apparently he's pursuing something of a position of a P7 dropout, something of a citizen who's not worthy leading elites, even though most elites come from villages, right? These are the villages that we live in. Yet we live these villages, amazing villages, in one of his experts on other media houses. I had him refer to Bamutakudde as a Kalamatendo. Kalamatendo meaning that this is the dreamland, right? We are thinking a lot about the dream Uganda, the promised land. But we are not willing to build that promised land. We think that it will magically appear when we are ushered into State House, when we are ushered into Parliament, when we are ushered into ministerial posts, without the hard work. Are we being realistic? Or should we give attention to this young man who is choosing to start from the bottom up to build our country one brick at a time, one family at a time, to ensure that each and every villager in Bamutakudde is a real stakeholder in building the country, building Uganda from Bamutakudde and beyond, right? These are not rhetorical questions. These are serious conversations. So if you haven't shared this podcast, what are you waiting for? What are your thoughts? We are looking at your comments as well. We want to ensure that you're also engaged in this conversation. Calvin has said that a building is only as strong as its foundation. I totally agree with you, Solomon. How I wish more of the elites would take a real interest in local council elections. Calvin or Tim, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. My friend Golden Amara says that bright people never get things done. It's mostly all talk. And she speaks as someone who has been in business and politics. Golden Amara, thank you so much for that sentiment as well. My friend Solomon is back, and is now. You're going to see him in picture so that we can get these ideas face to face. My friend Solomon, every year Uganda exports talent, doctors, teachers, engineers, academics. Of course, journalists, entrepreneurs, and many Ugandans dream of living. Very few dream of returning to serve villages. Why? And as someone who has reported on national affairs for years, what convinced you that local leadership deserves attention?
Yeah. So thank you. I just wanted to make sure you can hear me real well.
We do hear you very well.
Okay,
yes.
thanks. Okay. So thank you again. I apologize that I was on audio earlier, but I'm sure that this is much better. So yeah, so I really wanted to say that a village is the smallest unit of a community, and communities make up parishes. Parishes make up sub-counties. Sub-counties make up constituencies. Constituencies make up districts. Districts make up the country. And so it starts there, as I had earlier mentioned, Mr. Ssali. It is the smallest cell of a nation, and therefore we need to take it seriously. I had argued that the fact that we do not give it that level of seriousness has left us with poor service delivery, because many of the people think that LCs and the different committees at the village level should be left to P7 dropouts, should be left to drunkards, to aging populations, ewa chairmani, you know. We have reduced it to, writing letters. We have reduced it to signing land agreements. There's someone who joked on X and said, stamp yechalo jotunulide. You know, we have now thought, that they're just there to take all the resources that the village has. And because of that mentality, we have poor service delivery and following of government programs at the village level, and that transcends to the sub-county level, to the parish level, because even those at the parish level, they will be said that even that is for school dropouts, say senior 4 dropouts, that we are overqualified. You see, that means the people at the parish level will also be looking at Kuria. They want to take everything that comes at from the district to the parishes, and that has a ripple effect to the sub-county level, Omuluka, and that means even at sub-county level, we leave councillors to be abantu bawansi, the low people, and therefore they also look at getting from the system and not entirely serving people. And yet they're supposed to monitor government programs. They're supposed to monitor doing finances for the sub-county. Then you end up seeing corruption stunting and a lack of accountability starting from a village level. Because there's no one who is going to ask the chairman about the accountability of the village and how he's using money that is collected from land sales, from companies that contribute to the villages, from the money that comes from the sub-county to the village. There's no lack of accountability. So the chairman, no one follows up the money. And so that culture of corruption, a lack of accountability, starts at that level. It grows to the parish level. It grows to the sub-county level. It grows to the district level. And we think we can catch it at parliamentary level. We can't. We just can't. Because systems have not worked at the village level. They will not work at the parish level. They will not work at the sub-county level. And they will not work at the district level. And so when the Auditor General comes to audit the books of accounts, and we cannot follow up government programs at the village level, they cannot catch it. Why? I'll give you an example. We have the parish development model. This financial year, we are allocating about 1.7 trillion shillings of our budget to the parish development model. The idea behind the parish development model is let's take the development to the parishes. Now, please note that parishes are made out of districts. Sorry, out of villages. So the villages come together to form a parish.
Parishes.
And
Yeah,
government
parishes.
thought that that would be a great way to send money so that the people who want to access that money, get that money, so that they can invest it into production, into poetry, into animal husbandry, into agriculture, into little businesses that can be able to grow and later on have a ripple effect on the economy. But if you go to many of the villages, and the president has been visiting different villages, he's asking people, Senteza PDM Muziraba. And you've seen a video where some of the ladies that the president talked to some time back said, I'm Zete tuzifunanga.
Right.
While others are saying, Fetwafuna nayate batusaba sente. I don't know if you've heard.
Yes.
Okuzifuna. N'okwewandiisa baasaba emitwalo 6. So because we have a weak LC system that cannot follow the money at the parish level, that money ends up not getting to the villagers.
Where it should be.
Yes. And why? Because we have left the LC system to the abatasoma, the school dropouts, to the drunkards at the village. At the end of the day, it affects you and me because we are villagers.
Right. Even the elites.
When people come and attack you in your village, in your fence, you're not going to call your MP.
No.
It is most likely that you will call defense
LDU. Yeah, defense.
No, we have the defense at the village level. To know what defense. We have someone in charge of our security. It's called Twamkazakolo defense. But basically, it's our defense, the person who oversees the security of the village. Now,
it's the same as LDU, right?
Yeah, no, it's no longer called LDU, the local defense unit. And like those are people I think who have been phased out. But we have a defense. Defense, someone like who is in charge of our security as a village. It's most likely that you don't even know their contact. You don't even know your chairman's name. You don't even have their contact. You don't even participate in village meetings. If they come to your village and they get into your home, muchikomera monsula, PhD you're in there and you don't have any of those contacts, you're not going to call your MP. This is why it is important that we put competent people at village level so that we can follow government programs. One of the critical role of an LC1 chairperson is development. The LC chairperson should follow government programs so that they can reach at the village level. No one is doing that in my village called Bamutakudde. Other villages that are organized, they're actually benefiting from government programs. But because they have realized that it is important we pay attention to who governs us at the local level. That person who you call a drunkard and P7 dropout is your leader.
Right.
If you want any services, they will do it the way they want. Right? Here, for example, in Bamutakudde. So one of the roles of the LC1 is development and communication. Follow up government programs, reach out to several NGOs that are working within the village or the sub-county to support you. Do, for example, like me, I have, somehow, people call me a celebrity and all that. I knock doors and they will open. I'll ask MTN and Airtel to build for me wells and they will do that. I'll do a crowdfunding for my village and people will donate. I'll talk to Henry Ssali from the diaspora that we need a well that is supposed to be supported by people in the diaspora. It is 5 million shillings. That is about $1,500. If each of you gives me $50 or $100, I'm happy to do that well, and we will label it. It's from the diaspora community. They have given back to my people. Now, because we have left that to Bariabawansi, the village ends up not benefiting from any of the services. And this is why elites need to come back. This is why they need to come back and take this LC system very, very seriously and very important. Yeah. So
Yeah.
following government programs, and if we do not catch it at village level, you will not catch it at district level or even at country level. We will continue to have corruption. We will not.
Yeah, so that's very interesting, because Uganda often celebrates powerful leaders, but history remembers strong institutions. What makes village succeed? Is it the charismatic leaders? Is it the charismatic individuals, or the durable institutions? And I'm asking this because I want us to be very intentional, because I want you to tell us, what institutions would you like to prioritize if elected LC1 chairman for Bamutakudde? I haven't heard a lot from schools in Bamutakudde.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're operating.
Yeah, no, I'm going to talk about that, but I think it's important for me to first answer your question.
Yeah.
The first question is, what will make villages succeed? I think, in my view, the first thing is taking village politics very, very seriously, or village public administration very seriously. As a country, we don't take it seriously. An LC1 chairperson earns 10,000 shillings. Mutwalo gumu. That's 120,000 shillings per year. Recently, there was a campaign that we advance the transportation of a village chairperson from a bicycle to a motorbike. The president said, "Wow, we will give you motorcycles. We will give you bicycles."
I heard this state of the nation.
So the villagers were telling me, "Mwami Serwanjja tugenda kulaba ng'osota akagali," going up the hill and going down the hill. Right. But I think, first of all, we need to give the LC system the seriousness it deserves. That's the first thing. You cannot be giving an MP 300 million shillings to buy a vehicle, and you're giving an LC person omutwalo gumu. How will they be able to even serve the people? You see?
Exactly. Perhaps that's why the punish.
Why wouldn't they actually take that money? 2, systems. So once we give, and the president knows it very well. President Yoweri Museveni understands that grassroots mobilization is important. That is why the NRM is very particular, strong at village level. Every village has an NRM mobilizer. They have a woman representative at village level. They have a chairperson of NRM at the village level that mobilizes.
The people
during elections. These chairpersons are given allowances to recruit new members. This is why we can shout and show popularity, but Museveni understands that grassroots, that's where he thrives. And that is where he concentrates. And he has created, the NRM has created a system that has the last pulse of the last village in Kaperabyong. That Richard Twodong, the Secretary General of the NRM party, will pick up a call and call the village chairperson of the last village in Kaperabyong and tell them, "How are you?" They have understood that power. Now, let's come to the national level. We need to create systems that govern the LC1 and get out of the informal structure of the LC1 system. Because we have operated in the informal structure long enough that we have seen its weaknesses that need to be addressed. We create systems that work. For example, these are the systems I'm going to develop in my village. We are going to open up a bank account. All the monies are not my money, in that chairperson. This money will go to the village account. We are going to do a strategic plan. We are going to do a budget. We are going to create requisition forms for the money. This account will be signed by 3 people: the chairperson, the vice, and the finance. And that money will be paid to the service providers who will do work. They'll be paid 50% upon receiving the project. For example, to dig water for my people, we will give them the other 50% once that is completed. We are going to set up an office for the LC1 chairperson. it is not right that the LC1 office is at the home of the LC1 chairperson. Sente zekyalo wezibulira muzenva.
Yeah, but
What
I
I'm
think
trying to say, that is
I think
where
this is unique to
accountability spills
Bamutakudde.
through. Yes. So we are going to create an office for the chairperson.
Right. Okay.
And an office for the vice and my entire cabinet.
Mm.
I am going to pay my staff a salary. Why? Because if I get 10 million shillings a month and I say my wage bill is 2 million shillings for public administration, I will pay my staff, even if it's 50,000.
But where will you get that
And I
money
will
when the chairman
expect
is only
of
getting
them
10K?
services to the people because I pay them. So when we put in place systems that work, the chairperson, when does the chairman write a land agreement? We've had so many cases that chairman sell land to more than 2 people, 3 people, right? We need to examine if I'm going to write for you a sales agreement because it for your chibanja, because it is equated to a land title. Nino kumanya history etakeri. I have to know the history of that land. Did you inherit it? Is there, for example, echiramo, a will that shows that you inherited this land? If you sold it to another person, is there proof that this person bought before I write for you? But also, does the land exist?
Right.
Now, if we say that we are going to go through systems for us to be able to do the land titles, and we follow those systems will work. The 10% that we get from those land sales, sees a chairman. It's not chairman's money. It's the village money. You hold that office in public trust. And that means that money, the villagers have a right to follow that money to where it actually went. Right? Because we have a strategic plan. Now, you talked about my strategic plan, for example, for Bamutakudde, this village that I love so much.
Yeah.
We have clustered our 5-year strategic plan into annual plans. You know, we have the long term, which is 5 years, but we also have a strategic plan for the 1 year, which is structured into quarters. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, well articulated into months. Month 1, month 2, month 3, with clear deliverables and where we're going to get resources. So once we have talked about access to water, because it's the most pressing need for this village. We have talked about, now we have the challenge of security. We are now how we're going to address the issue of security for my village is tugenda kuddayo ku nyumba 10, the principle of the 10 households. We are going to divide the village into cells, and we'll have cell leaders for every 10 homes. These cell leaders will be in the meetings for my council to tell us what are the challenges that is affecting their cells. And therefore, we can align very well to meet those challenges. Should there be a security concern, the Nyumba Kumi or the cell leader will inform the defense, which defense is going to coordinate with the police. We are going to create an allowance of 100,000 shillings that goes to our police office which is in Champisi, which is not a bit away from us, but they will come and do inspections or surveillances at least 3 times. In the long run, we want to set up a police post where we'll have at least 1 or 2 police officers because we have the money, we'll pay them. In terms of security, we are also going to put lights on our roads. Ssali, ekitala kya mitwalo 2, light is for 200,000 shillings. Let me put it in dollars that you guys understand. That is about what? 200,000 is about $30? No, no, 60, 70, 70, about $70, $75.
Yeah.
That is for every poll. Government gave us the opportunity, but I mean, you have to know this. This is why the educated should go back to the grassroots.
Yeah.
UECDL told us if we buy lights with switchers, automatic switchers, the ones that go on and off, then they will not charge us for power. Which we take a committee jamasanyalaze, and they can do auto switch. During day they're off, during night they light up. We will not pay for that power. Now, if I need only about 20 lights, I can look for that money and put it on the road. Kubyenjigiriza, education. One of the roles of the LC chairperson is to monitor government programs. One of the issues that government has is UPE, Universal Primary Education. What we are going to do before I can get even to the Universal Primary Education, we don't have bylaws in this village. We don't have bylaws. We need to sit together as a community to say, oh, which are the laws that are going to govern us. Okusanga omwana ng'oli waka nga budde bwa kusoma ng'omwana ali waka kibonerezo, because we have UPE. If we find your kid at home and it is a school day, you will explain to the LC system why isn't that girl or boy at school. Because our bylaws clearly speak, when we have UPE, when we find your kid and is not in school and you fail to explain to the LC system, these repercussions will happen.
But like
so
in
we are
some
going
of
to develop bylaws we must come up with laws that we agree as a village that these are the laws that are going to bind us as a village. You find homes that don't have latrines or toilets. But like, it's okay. There's open defecation, for example. We are not going to accept that. We are going to set up these bylaws that govern us as a people so that we can implement those bylaws. Let's go back to the education issue that I told you. As a village, when we manage our monies better, we will be able to support our children with basic needs, ebitabo, penny, supporting them through our budgets that come from our accounts, but also through mobilization. Mr. Ssali, if I told you and I told you, my brother Henry, I am stuck with school-going children, tebaina scholastic materials, can you help me mobilize? We just need about 10 dozens of books, pencils. You're able to say, Mwami Serwanjja, I've sent you $200, I've mobilized from my community. But because you believe in the system that works, and I'm able to account to you, my donor of my books, by sending you pictures, here are the receipts to be what this is how you've impacted my village. I'll be able to change your life. So, together, which we are going to go house by house to manage how many kids are there. How can we support as a village? Whether through resource mobilizing domestically, through our village, through our budgets, or through external mobilization, through our friends and partners to support our village to get better. So, in terms of education, that's what we are thinking we're going to do. We'll try to focus firstly on primary education, and then we can get it to secondary education later on. We want to mobilize bursaries, We want to, to really see how we can support our children. Mwami Ssali, one of the biggest problems we have as a village, Bamutakudde, is abavubuka bakera mu trading center kuba ludo na matatu. Let me put that in English so that our audience understands it. Our people here, our young people, wake up every morning to go to the trading centers to play cards and maybe games. It cannot be during it. We cannot have that during my tenure as the chairperson of the village. No. I've told my people, my young people here, even when I was campaigning, every morning when we wake up, the market's open. Everyone wakes up and takes something. There are three things that we take to the market: muscles, amani, obostude mugugu, obogenze kulima, obokozechi. That's the first thing that we take to the market. The second thing that we take to the market is a skill set.
Right.
Mikono, what are you able to do with your hands? Yeah.
Mm.
The third one is Mwongo, your brain.
Amagezi. Yeah.
That's where you have the professors, Bakari Magezi, Abali Morisachi, Abakenkufu. We take that to the market every day. So I keep asking those young people, what are you taking to the market every morning?
Right.
So what I have told them, we have designed a program where we are going to bring in vocation people to train us every Sunday from 8 to 5.
And these are volunteers? Are you talking about volunteers?
Okay, we can start that from maybe 11. Or in the first service, then you come back, right? So we want to bring experts. For example, one of the things that I'm going to be bringing are the people to teach my people how to paint. Painting. You bring a professional painter, we will buy a bucket of paint, we buy the rollers, then we come and say, you start by sanding, you put undercoat, you put the first layer of paint, the second one, the third one, and maybe the fourth one for cleaning up. My target is to train 10 painters from this village. If I can achieve that target of having 10 painters from this village, I'll be happy. I want to bring someone who is going to train my young people in basic wiring, masanyalazi. The village, we have a problem here. We have people who have, an electricity pole in their compound, but basula munzikiza. They don't have power in their homes. Now, we just need to do basic wiring. When I get 10 young people who can wire our houses, kuchalo, Umeme will give us money, will give us power. UECDL will give us power. So I want to train 10 people on my village in basic wiring. We want to have that training for at least 4 months, the first quarter of the year. Once that is done, we would have given these people at least a skill that they can go and hand. We want to train people in tiling. This is how we tile. We want to also train people in abachala, women, because when I was telling people, they thought that but we want to train people in catering.
Yeah.
We want to open Bamutakudde catering services so that the village owns plates, we buy cups, we buy warmers, tugulama se pichi kuchalo, abachala bayigo kuyigo kufumba, emikolo jonna jibera ku sub-county. All the events that are in the sub-county, Bamutakudde will bid for contracts to cook and provide catering services. Eziri professional, bakubine ebyokuchalo.
Right.
Abachala, I want that for my village women. We have a river that goes through the entire Mukono North. We call it River Musale.
Right.
I have been telling women, abachala yo naje tuita Musale jaita. There are people who have started gardening. They do potting and then they plant flowers. Then for us, we go and buy from them. In my village, we don't have that. So, and yet the river passes through our homes.
Right.
So I've been telling women, we do a gardening company so that we buy the pottings, black soil, if you want training, I'm happy to bring people to train you so that we can start doing these things and earn from them.
Right.
We want to do an events company for the village. Bamutakudde events, where we buy chairs, netensi zokucharo ne PA system. Where we can, for example, say that part of our strategic plan is to be self-reliant. That as a village, we can raise resources that can support us and make us better. If we bought 100 chairs, plastic chairs, we can start with 10 every quarter. We buy tents. We have parties. We have, people who have lost their loved ones and they need these services. we can be able to provide those services. So we are coming up with the different avenues to ensure that my young people in my village are equipped with skill sets and business management plans that can take them forward. Nze siri mwavu era saagala baavu. I'm not going to allow to preside over a village which is broke, and I will not allow that. So it means that it's going to be up to me for us to come up with a strategic plan and be able to advance it and make things happen. Now, I know that when you're destroying the informal system, you always come up with a lot of resistance.
Right.
Because abantu bamanyidde kulya kyeya njokyayo njokyayo olubaati njokyayo omutwalo njokyayo ettaano sigenda sigenda kubookya bonna mbagambye all throughout my campaign sina gwe ngenda kwokya kubanga nange esente si zange za kyalo nkwokyeze enzijjewa ze nkwokya yo why nze nkola ensula nga ntunula nkuwe buwi gwatudde mu sitenseni nkwokya biki. So those things I am not going to allow. I've been open with them, and I have told them, my dear people, if you're voting me, give me your vote. If you're not, you leave it. Because I really I'm coming to serve. I'm coming to serve and give strategic direction to the village. You see,
why did it take you so long?
I know we are going to face a lot of resistance, but me as Serwanjja, I am ready to fight those resistances with an iron hand to better the village. I know that the first 2 years, they may not like me and the things that buy but after those 2 years, when those things begin to work and people see services, afazali banagamba kasajja katufuze n'omukono gw'ekyuma naye ebiriwo tubiraba.
Why now? Why has it taken you so long to come and put together this system that you're talking about right now?
You see, in the fullness of time, Christ came. So the Bible says that I believe in.
Right.
It is the fullness of time for Serwanjja to come back to the village and provide services to the people. Salisize ku kyalo bwa LC kufuna sente. Because you know mulimu gw'onsasula. LC si mulimu. Era wagamba, will you be on the village? Yeah. Onabera ne time. I'm providing. I have a job that pays me. But I also come from a place that when systems work, I don't need to physically be on the village. If I say that I'll be signing letters every Saturday, kuva sawa 2 paka sawa 5. Mwena abokukyala abagala amabaluwa, mugalet, mujje mufune ensonga during the week, muogere ensonga zammwe, there will be a secretary. We will type those letters. Chairman ajazi signing anga buli Saturday. Kyekijjo bbaawo. So tonsuubira nti buli lunaku ngenda kera ku makya ntule mu office ninda abagala amabaluwa. Nedda. I have work to do because I also am accountable somewhere else.
Right.
So no, Rachel, when we set up those systems that work, they will work. Ombuziza why now? Everything I am now ready. Otherwise, I would have remained in my peace, drive my car in the morning, go to work, come back in the evening, you know. So I want what I have achieved at the organizational level and the expertise that I have got to bring it back to my village. And we serve our people. And we grow as a village. Bamutakudde is going to be a model village if they give me an opportunity to lead them. I want people to know that when we set up systems and we let those systems work and protect them against even our own selves, the village will be transformed. I want people, because I know everyone, media houses have been calling me. We are coming to the on Tuesday, we are coming. Everyone now is talking about Bamutakudde. Everyone,
even us in the diaspora.
When history is being made, we want to be there when history is being made. As a PhD, holder, is either voted in or out for the village.
Right. Well, you keep talking about we, which means you already have a team. Are you running as a slate, or how do you plan to convince each and every person who is going to be voted in to buy your vision for Bamutakudde?
You see, for you to succeed at delivering your strategic plan is you must have a team. The team that believes in your vision, the team that believes in your leadership. I had Maria Mwangadia, the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, crying foul. Even when she's the top boss at Uganda Human Rights Commission, saying the commissioners don't want to come for meetings. Bankuba Kasa, they talk ill about me, you know. And I'm overwhelmed now. She calls for a press conference as if there are no systems. Maybe she tried those systems and they failed her, you know. But I come from a place that you must lead a team that is ready and a team that believes in the vision. I think the people of Bamutakudde are tired.
Okay.
And they think Bagala and Chuka Chuka. They want a change in their village. So we are going to, we already have a committee, but we get no kukola, because when you go for an LC1 election, you have to select your cabinet there and then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you have finished, you have declared then you present your cabinet. You present your cabinet. These are the people I'm going to be working with. And you ask the Batuze to approve them. As Parliament approves ministers to LC level, the Batuze have to approve the people you're going to be working with. But once that is done, then I really think that we'll be able to serve our village in a much better way.
Why haven't you guys thought about creating a poster that includes all the 9 people?
Because you're not running as a block right now. You first have to
not allowed.
No, you're not running as a block. You're running as an individual person. And Henry, let me say something. Like Stella was saying, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, at a village level, we are looking more of service delivery rather than active political, political party politics.
Right.
I was imagining what she went through. I mean, a person who is able to deliver NRM, but you're FDC, and you certainly don't know what to do because you believe the other person is competent, but the party has fronted a person.
Else.
It's the same thing here. I'm independent because I'm not politically active. I'm a journalist. The moment I become politically active, then I would lose my journalism badge and the credibility and the authority for me to speak truth to power. Because anyway, I don't want to belong to any political party for now, because I'm concentrating much on service delivery at the village level. So there are people from these different parties that believe in my leadership, but they are also fronting a candidate. We have a candidate for the National Unity Platform. We have a candidate for NRM. We have a candidate for FDC. Then you have me, who is an independent, so it's going to be an uphill task. But I believe that I have explained to the voters and my fellow villagers, what we want to do for the. Of course, I didn't know that it could be this bad, this dirty politics. One of the candidates has been decampaigning me because Nsula Muchikomera. And all they has been saying
you're going to be inaccessible.
It's
going to be inaccessible.
And I've been telling them,
office. If you build an office, that's where they find you. They don't find you.
But that's what I've told them. And they're saying no. And then I told them, the guys, the other home is my home. It is my home. So if I'm going to do an LC office where we will provide services to the people. The most important thing is services to the people. So if I demo data politics, but that's it. It's elective politics. We can't get the politics away from it. But I believe it's time that I'm really happy, Henry, that my candidature has sparked very, very interesting conversations around getting the elites and people with experience and expertise to go back to the grassroots and provide services for our people.
Well, millions of Ugandans abroad still ask this question: what can we do for home? Right? Perhaps because perhaps we have been I'm not sure if that's the wrong question that we are asking.
No. I think it's the right question. It's a very right question. Let me tell you what you can do for my village.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak for the village. The first thing I know about diaspora people is this. Just give me a minute, a second.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are interrogating this question.
Yeah, so I am back.
Okay.
So one thing I know about people from the diaspora, they love systems. The first thing is they love systems, and systems that work. When I prove to you, Mr. Ssali, and the dear members of the diaspora, that I've created a system that works, you will be able to support me and believe in me to give me your $1 to support me. You want to invest that $1, your hard-earned money, the shift or your work, and you say, I will dedicate $10 every month and give them to Serwanjja, Bamutakudde, because I believe in systems. Our money will not be stolen, will not be, abused.
Yeah.
The first thing is, once I'm good to go, I'll come to you, Henry, so we can maybe you invite all the diaspora community, and I pour my heart out to you through my strategic plan as a village, and request for your support, financial support, to give back to this village. And perhaps you could even connect us to, friends that are out there, to support our vision as a village. I think that's the first thing. So the second thing is, guidance. You can guide through ideation,
Right.
through project proposal planning.
Right.
You could have an idea that you can bring to me. Say, Solo, I think if you did this and this and this, Twitter, you have different expertise. A lot of it, people in the diaspora, connections. You can make a call to so and so, Mr.
Right.
Ssali, you can make a call to just one. I'm one call away from mobilizing for my community, whether through your partners and friends, or through your relatives. That is social capital is the most important thing in my view. Social capital is important to transform the village. But also, you could do community outreaches. How? The people in the diaspora have very beautiful clothes. Zebasula at the end of the, maybe you outgrow them, and I've been there, so I've seen people getting good clothes. Zebasula with dustbin, and I'm thinking, yo, is a boy nyunji, and they tell you to zikolere chite, what was it take?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because children outgrow these clothes. But you say it's summer, now it's summer. And go zebalina last summer, them. And summer egwako, bagenda kudda mu fall. Before you know it, they're in winter. And they cannot afford to keep all those clothes for the next summer. So abasinga muzikwata ne muziteka mu bini. If we say, Mwami Ssali, mobilize for me clothes and zolaba, tuzitike, tuzitike mu, fune engoye kubanga eno abaana bazeetaaga, abaana bambala engoye za bituli.
Yeah, but that's going to need policy change, right? Because I think they don't allow old clothes anymore in Uganda.
No, they do. I mean, you just pack the clothes and fly them in. I mean, you cannot do it, or packing the suitcases. You have people that are coming back.
Okay.
No packing the suitcases. You can invite me, Henry, to say, Solo, come to Toronto or come to Ottawa. I mean, I'm always in Canada, for example. I've been there for the Ugandans in the Diaspora Conference, which I host. I'm happy. I mean, I have a visa, Canadian visa for 10 years, multiple entry. So it's easy for me to just fly. I could even mobilize for my own ticket, you know.
Yeah.
And I fly over, and I come back Nemigugu. I travel light, come back with about two suitcases or even 3, and I pay for an extra bag. So there are some of those little things that you can support by giving back to our communities, but also by personally getting engaged.
Right.
For example, Mataka. It would really be great for us to start the diaspora project here, and we are supporting you because you believe in the systems that we have created. We can say, our members of the diaspora, we have land, we have opened up 1 acre because we are attracting people to come to my village. Buli plot ya wano iri 25,000. It is
Visit Bamutakudde.
Yeah, netandika ka estate kamwe. Netwagamba, we have opened 1 acre or 2 acres or 3 acres. Kuchalo Bamutakudde, kulika 5 ku 10, it's for 25 million. We want to give it to you to come. It is titled land. Muwereze sente, tubawe ebyapa byammwe, but we can also develop your property there. My intention, my dream is kufuula kaalo kano ka Matendo nga kali organized, kalina systems ezikola, and you're able to take advantage of those systems. The people like you love to come back to organized places. Temwagala buvuyo bichi simanyi no. Imagine coming back to a village that is like your home in Canada, or that is like Stella's home in Germany, or in Boston, or in New York. Nga zili organized. Netandika no gabanaye katusonda sente za kupavinga ngudo. Oba teka matala teka bimuli kubo. No, come out to a clean home. We are building a community center. Netugulire ekyalo akataka oba ekemu, netekako community center, netekako ka hospital, netekako akasomero ka nursery, and it's well coordinated.
Right.
So I want to get that model for this village. I am dying with a lot of passion because I believe this community can be better if it's under good leadership.
Right. I can feel the passion. I can feel the passion, and it's really very exciting to see someone of your caliber pursue this kind of leadership at the village level. But I want us to interrogate the idea of a promised land, because that's what you're trying to sell me right now.
Akala Matendo.
Akala Matendo, promised land. For example, people in the diaspora, when you come back here, you want to see something similar to what you have been experiencing in the diaspora. And the phrase, the promised land, often suggests a destination, right? Something ideal, right? The ideal city. Socrates talked about it as well. But perhaps nations are not destinations. Perhaps they're just construction sites. So let me ask you to imagine a Uganda 30 years from today, or imagine Bamutakudde 30 years from today. What would have happened? And do you think you'll have built the dream destination, the dream promised land in Bamutakudde in 30 years? How will Bamutakudde look like in 30 years from now?
It starts by having a vision.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a vision for the 5 years of Bamutakudde. I'm not sure I'm going to come back as LC1 in 2031. Maybe I'll go for another office. In the 5 years that I will be here, I want to create that space where systems work. And when those systems work, I don't think the leader who will come after me will destroy those systems. I don't think that leader that will come after me will break the systems that have worked for the people. Now, when we establish systems that work, cities, villages are built on systems. Let me tell you a story about China. I had an opportunity of covering China for quite a while.
Yeah.
as a journalist, global journalist, I've traveled the world. China has like a 100-year master plan for the country China, right? For the country China. We have a 100-year master plan. They have. So
They
whether
have,
it's Xi Jinping who is in power or not him, the people who come in power will implement the master plan.
Yeah, most countries do.
So when you treat Bamutakudde village as a country, or this village of mine, netutula wansi tugenda kukola master plan ya myaka 5 years, right? Wenkoma. But if we sit and say we are going to plan for 10 years, that even the people who will come after me will be implementing what is already in the plan with a few adjustments here and there. Bijakola. Echidala. Sagala Mveko. I don't want me to leave office to bring back another drunkard to be LC1 chairperson. Mr. Ssali,
that might take you more than 5 years.
My determination in this election is to start a very candid conversation as a country, and I've achieved it, and my heart is full. That villages can be led by competent professional people.
Yeah.
And that time has gone for us to leave the villages to incompetent people. Because we're about to Zimbia systems is equal. I want another person, maybe a lawyer,
right,
or anyone who is competent enough to build from where I have stopped for the village to go ahead. I always travel, and one of the fascinating things that I have seen, I've been to London so many times, but I'm sure this is the same thing that you guys have there. Those guys have undergrounds, you know, the train stations, you know, you get onto the central line.
We have them here too.
Yeah, you guys have them there too. I mean, they're literally in every city in Europe and, you know, North America and Canada and Australia. They have undergrounds. My guy, it took years to do those underground. Years. You know, you jump, they dug deep in there, you know, created the central line, the Piccadillys, all these lines. They had a dream. That dream took years to implement. It didn't take one prime minister.
No.
The next prime minister that took over office continued with the implementation of that master plan.
Right.
That is what we need at village level. That we need to start dreaming of having undergrounds. But that journey started by someone started it.
Someone started it, but also I think the land laws in Western countries are a little bit different from the land laws.
I understand, but I'm just saying that the dream started.
Yeah.
In Uganda here, we compensate people to build roads. Don't we have those roads?
We do.
Because they have decided to do those roads. It takes one good man to change a village. One. That's what I'm doing. I've been abused. I've been told that I've stooped so low. How can a PhD person, an executive, a celebrity go for LC1? I want that to change.
I want that already to change. The fact that we are having this conversation is an indication that you have already impacted how people perceive LC1 offices. Of course, Bamutakudde is probably different from other villages because my village in Waga seems to have already an LC1 office, which is a good thing. The water seems to be more accessible than in Bamutakudde. But of course, what you're talking about is very sensible, and it's something that most elites should start pursuing. Because as you said earlier on, we cannot expect to keep leaders at the national level accountable if we are unable to keep leaders at the LC level accountable. And the fact that there's no structure in Bamutakudde, structures to keep people accountable, that's what is really challenging. And I'm glad that you have brought yourself up to establish systems, to build structures, and to ensure that, because I think what you need to do beside thinking, you and your team thinking about building Bamutakudde, one most important aspect of making your dream a reality is to also enhance spaces for civic education, because people are not going to understand the context through which you are thinking about building systems if you don't educate them. And I think we need to interrogate that issue as well. How do we make governments or the state comfortable with conducting civic education on the villages without being perceived as competitors or future competitors who are trying to brainwash citizens at the village level? I don't know if you have ideas or thoughts about that, but I think that that's an important aspect of growth and in building systems as well.
Civic education is certainly important. Again, it starts.
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
Siri. No, so I was just saying that civic education is very important. Very, very important to transform communities. Why? Because it starts with a mindset change.
Yeah.
President Museveni has been going all across the country talking about one thing: mindset change. You know, I look at Museveni beyond just being a politician. Henry, I've covered the president's campaigns and rallies so many times. Yeah. I've covered the president so many times. So many times. Sometimes I get off the lens of a journalist and politicians and, you know, what makes news. And I listen to him candidly about what he says.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of sense in some of the things that he says. I may disagree with him on so many things, but I may also agree with him on some things. You know?
Yeah. It's certainly, I mean, we can all agree that he's a brilliant man, having ruled us for 40 years. Ugandans are very brilliant people. When someone is able to govern you for 40 years, you have to accept that it's something that he's doing right. My question is, why haven't Ugandans gravitated on his message? And why do people on the what do people at that bottom, I don't want to call it the bottom, but at the grassroots level, what do they seem to dismiss a lot of his messages? Some people don't even take time to listen to his messagings.
I think it's politicizing everything.
But don't you think that comes from not engaging in
when you look at everything through a political lens, you sometimes miss the message. You know, before even you hear him, you're like Twakoa, you know. Even before you hear his message, those that have had him, Bafunam, they learn a thing or two. But because we have decided to politicize everything, we miss the message of economic transformation, of industrialization, of empowering people, of creating jobs. You know, I think first of all, because we politicize everything at all times. That's the first thing. The second thing is there's a general fatigue, because he has been in power for quite a long time, right? So some people may think that, look, I think, we just need to hear something new from different people, and sometimes we miss the message.
I think, well, that could be correct. I think there's also another school of thought that indicates that despite some of the good messages that he might provide, it seems like just rhetoric. Because when you look at the road system in Uganda, for instance, you're talking about cubes, underground and cubes in Western countries, specifically Europe and North America. And when you look at the road systems in Uganda, at a time where people are still dying of accidents. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we have, I don't know how many children we have lost in road accidents. right? When we have a person who has been governing for 40 years with all this insight and intellect and the people around him, and we still have road systems that kill numerous people, despite the messaging that he offers in certain audiences, it becomes more than just fatigue. It becomes a question of will. Are they willing to implement what they are saying? If they are, why are we still having poor road systems in Uganda? Where even
I can answer that real quick.
Hmm.
I think first of all, this is why we have a problem. You see, there is prioritization. Sometimes I listen to the president with an open mind, no biased lenses. He has in the past been talking about self-reliance, and he has been focusing a lot of his attention on the economy. How can we grow the economy to be able to sustain us? So he has said, you will allow me, but I'll invest a lot of power in electricity, with minimal budgets. Our GDP is still low. So he wants to sometimes prioritize key issues. According to him, let's look at increasing production. How do we do that? By reducing the costs of production. Let's increase power generation, reduce the costing for industrial users. Let's put money into PDM or even operation wealth creation to stimulate the economy. Let's give people seeds for coffee. Let's give them seeds for so that we have plenty of food and we can go into agro processing. Now, once we have all that, we have stimulated the economy to grow, then we can generate enough revenue for us to be able to work on other key priority sectors. I think that he sort of prioritized in the different terms he had. I think there was a time where he was so big onto let's generate power. So we invested money in Karuma Dam, in all these dams, hydroelectricity plants and solar energy and wind energy in some places. And for now, I can confirm to you, Henry, that we are producing a lot of power here in Uganda. And the cost, that's why Museveni was very mad with Umeme, because he was saying, look, I produce a lot of this power, but you sell it expensively. So, he canceled the contract and the rest is history. But now he says that the cost of power in Uganda for industries has been significantly cut. So he then attracts investors to come and invest into industrial parks, gives them all the incentives that we may disagree with, tax holidays, free land. If you come, he's aware that everyone is looking, competition is high for investors. So Rwanda is competing, Kenya is competing, Tanzania is competing, Uganda is competing. So he says, let me, give incentives to people. They come and invest here. Eventually it will pay off, despite the tax holidays and all that. But eventually we would have put money, we would have brought money, we would have foreign direct investments into the country. Now, you may realize right now,
just a moment.
Let me conclude. Let me just conclude on this.
Yeah.
You may realize now he has turned his attention on road construction. I can tell you right now, Kampala is an industry, is a construction site. Upcountry is a construction site. And I've told you, I'm no politically sided person. I'm talking facts. As we speak right now, many of the roads that we have been crying, for example, me whose office is in Bulindo, Chira, that road has been bad, Chitukutwe, Bulindo, Najera, Chiwature, Paka Antinda. It has been a terrible road and we have cried for all this time. Right now, that road is being concluded. Most of the inland roads, Kirira Muchikubo, all those roads have been done. Downtown Loom Street, the cost of doing roads in the city center is high, right? So, most of the roads, Kawempe, all those roads matching a lot of attention has been shifted to our road construction right now. Go to the Gulu Kitgum Road. It's amazing. They have worked on it. Go to the Kampala Gulu Highway. They are working on it. Go, of course, some roads have stalled, like, for example, the Kampala Fort Portal Road, you know, from Mitiana to Mubende. It's really been crazy. And right now they have sacked the contractor. So there may be structural challenges, but I think for Mr. Museveni, it has really largely been prioritizing how to drive the economy forward, you know. But let me conclude with this. This is where the LC system is important. Following government programs. How Balam, you saw Balam say going to Mbale the other day. I don't know if you followed Henry, but Balam has been in Mbale. He reached on some road, and you know who he asked? LC1 wanaliwa. You know, LC1. Where is the LC1 chairperson? Nzuno tata. Wano. Aba yo kamara mgabama nyoja. You know, then Balam turns into an engineer to measure, you know, he brings out a tape measure to see. He doesn't know. I mean, the guy is, you know, he doesn't have the technical expertise, but he's on
an
the ground
entrepreneur.
Government programs. You get. And the first person they ask is the LC1. You see the power of the LC1 system is the projects that have been implemented. Those projects that have been implemented. The LC will report and say, sir, these guys just say they noticed, they told them you're coming, and that's when they started working on the roads. You know, they'll say, oh, they said they gave us coffee, but this coffee did not reach the grassroots. Baja Kuropa. So
it's simple. I mean,
I think is important.
I think you're entering a very good area of accountability where you're going to keep people accountability. But I want accountable. But I wanted to push you back. I think you're going to be pushed back on a lot of things as you become LC1 chair. Because as LC1 chair, also you don't only have to promote government interests or government programs. You have to make them. You have to make the people comprehend them so that they can support them on the ground. On the issue of power, you said that the government has been investing a lot in power. Yet, I think it's paradoxical that in one of your sentiments earlier on today, you were saying that Bamutakudde doesn't have power, and that's one of the issues for insecurity in the area, right? So, should power only benefit industries or also local people, citizens that should be enjoying?
Thanks. Sorry, I was eating bread in the background. So
yeah, that's okay.
Because I was really hungry.
Yeah. So I think as we interrogate these issues, I think it's important for us to question the prioritization that goes on. For 40 years, the road systems is still not as strong as they should be. The power that you have mentioned, it is not just sold abroad, but even people on the ground struggle to enjoy that power that has been invested into by government. There are many other programs that you could talk about or prioritization that you can talk about that people on the ground have not benefited in. And as chairman LC1 for Bamutakudde, these questions are going to come up. People are going to.
But let me speak. Let me speak to those issues real quick, Henry. First of all, I want to praise the government of Uganda for the rural electrification project. The president, through UECDL and ERA, what they called the rural electrification project, where they were extending power to the last mile. Now, they extended power to the last miles. Like I told you, Henry, in Bamutakudde, the problem is not that we don't have power. I mean, I'm in my home office right now. It's not that we don't have power.
Yeah.
Right? But it's because the citizens, but perhaps they have not done the basic wiring, because for to give you power for
Yeah.
money, you must have a wiring certificate. Then you apply for a meter. Meter ya mutwalo gumu n'ekitundu ogwa Uganda, 15,000 shillings to
Right.
apply for a meter. Okay?
Yeah.
What does this mean? It is for you, the chairperson, to mobilize your residents, which I'm going to do, and tell them, Bana, amasanyalaze gabaita wano. You know, you have a pole in your compound. What you require is, can we do basic wiring?
Right.
Abantu beno, they just need about 3-4 lights and 2 sockets. They're not heavy consumers like me.
Right.
Okay. Now, for you to tell them, Banail, can we do wiring? Then you apply for a meter. Ya gumuchitundu government gumuchitundu abantu bafuna amasanyalazi. The government has extended power to the rural areas. They get a tick from me because I'm one of the beneficiaries.
Right.
I'm one of the beneficiaries. They have done amazingly well. On that, they really are good. Okay, I mean, I travel. Me who covers stories. You go to as far as Mbale Hills, Wagulu. Abantu balina amasanyalaze baaka. You go to Karamoja, there is power. You go to Chisoro, there is power. You go to, Busoga, amasanyalaze gali buli wamu. The only challenge now is how abatuze bagafunye batya. How can we connect them to the last mile? And that is the role of the LC1 chairperson. Okubakumakuma. You mobilize them and tell them, Banange, waliyo lukiiko, buli ayagala amasanyalaze, tujja beera n'olukiiko on Saturday. Please endeavor to come and attend. Twogenda funa abantu abagenda okuva mu ECDL batusomese emukono, bajje batusomese engeri gye tufuna amasanyalaze. Mujje n'endagamuntu zammwe kubanga mugenda kusaba mita.
Okay.
When they come, ne batusomesa, ne tutekamu maybe ne tufuna abawiringa. The other people I told you who I would train. My 10 people who know basic wiring, ne wiring ennyumba z'ekyalo. Netwaka ng'abatuuze. No, it's very important in my view for us to give credit where it's due. I honestly think that the state has done amazingly well on electricity,
Okay.
on power, on renewable energy. They have
Right.
done exceptionally well in terms of extending electricity to the last mile. I want to praise them for that, really. Give them their flowers. So what we're into, even on the parish development model, by the way, because money is allocated, only that, because you see, Henry, there have been corruption scandals that have been reported in the past around the parish development model. But those corruption scandals come as a result of a failed lower government accountability system.
Right.
The moment I know that the parish money has come and my village is entitled to this amount of money, sigenda tula kusirika.
You
I will
pursue
go
it.
to the parish.
parish.
I belong to
That's-
Dundu parish, and I say, is a PDM zazzi.
Ziriwa.
Ezekyalo kyange
Ziriwa.
balabe Serwanjja ono oyagala ki bannange ono investigative journalist mumukoleko aveewo mumukoleko aveewo ajja tuleetera ebizibu. I have the ability of exposing them and doing an investigation on Mukono as the entire district. And I start a national conversation around corruption in Mukono, stealing of PDM. And the police will arrest them. Naye singa abeera chairman w'ekyalo ono gwe tugamba anywa omwenge bamugamba muwe emitwalo 5 ajja sirika mulindeeko kwoteddako. Of course they sit and they forge emikono gy'abantu abasayiningidde emitwalo 5 nga 10 oba 3 oba 4 esente ne bazeezibika. So what I'm trying to say, this is why professionals need to come back to the LC system to serve their people better.
As you prepare for the election on Tuesday, what do you want to tell the people of Bamutakudde, but also what message do you want to tell the people in the diaspora? Do you need any kind of insights, assistance, moral, financial? Tell the people in the diaspora what you think.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about Tuesday, but I need some financial support. Clearly, politics in Uganda has been monetized. You cannot absolutely say that Tojate you cannot absolutely say that you're not injecting any money. I'm spent out, by the way. I've spent some resources here, but we're almost to the finish line. Abatuze b'ekyalo baagala nnyo n'okulya akamere, bamaze okulonda oba ki akamere batukawe tukalye, kati mbadde nnyinayo, we mba mpiseemu njagala tegeka ya tufumbe ekyalo, tufumbe akamere tukalye ng'ekyalo. I need budgets for that. Naye n'okuuma akaluba agents, I really need some financial support, because there are going to be people who are going to be there to see what really happens. They need to eat for that day. They need water. The media is all going to be here, so you don't want to get anything wrong. The election for LC1 is you have to look in front. The moment you turn back, you're disqualified. Kakati nze musajja wo Serwanjja ngenda kuba bwenti. I'm just going to be like this now. You don't know what's happening in the background, but you need people there, to tell you. You need people there to see what's going on, to manage the situation or what's together. So it's important. I need really some financial support, and my budget is even not so big. I need about 3 million shillings only. That's about $800. So. But that really is supposed to help me go throughout the day and see how we can take this village forward. But I also need your prayers.
The prayers you have.
Systems nenga batuze bo bagala bocha. They just Serwanjja agenda tujjako akasente kaffe ketubadde tulya. Nabadde atuwayo kasente. You can do all those things, but the people have a different totally mindset. But be it as it may, I want to tell you, let's look at the two extremes that will come. Extreme one is you win, you celebrate, you start your administration as the LC chairperson, take the village forward, do your assessment after 5 years, and evaluate if you've performed according to the strategic plan. If you do not make it out there, I will concede whatever would have come from that election. I will provide my expertise or knowledge or whatever through to the cabinet that comes in. It will be upon them to, if they ask me, to advise. Otherwise, I will remain abiding president of Bamutakudde under the chairmanship of the cabinet that would have come in power, because I believe that we are all villagers and we want the best for Bamutakudde. But most importantly, Uganda's politics is really polarized and really divided along political lines, along religious lines. Bamutakudde is not exceptional here. Right. We will have to call for a day of unification, because the politics is done. People leave hurt, people say things against each other. People, divide each other. It's terrible. But as a village, we then need to reconvene and say, we remain villagers and we want the best for this village to move forward. So let's heal. Let's work together to take the village forward. But for me, beyond just the village level, because I'm in this state where the Bamutakudde story is not only a village story, it's a national story.
It is.
And because everyone is going to be paying their attention here, they are going to come, the media, everyone is going to ask, Serwanjja is saying, So I carry a big burden with me. Because if I make it, and I am, I come in as the LC1 chairperson, it will have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Across the country. If I don't make it, it will be a divided country, because there are those that will say, you thought you could do, bring your lugezgezi to the village. PhD scholar, is not so low. There's a lot at stake.
There's a lot at stake for all of us
There's
who
a lot
are
at stake.
engaging in this conversation.
So it is going to be very important
that
really we win this to change not only Bamutakudde but the entire country.
Do you have a phone number that people can reach out to?
Yes.
Especially folks from the diaspora who would like to sponsor that 3 million shillings.
Yeah, so my number
is
my number is 0774 plus 256.
Yeah.
My number is plus 256 774 380 945.
Okay.
Yeah, so really neweruba lwa 10 neruba lwa 2, those are hours of your hard earned money and work. So I would appreciate it and I would use it for exactly what
it's made for,
what it's going to do. So I will really be happy if I can get your support to get to the finish line and we start a journey of transforming our country, not only Bamutakudde but our country. There's too much to lose. Let me tell you, Henry, there is too much to lose in this election. If I was telling my team today, we don't have an option but to win, because the whole country is looking at you.
Right.
Your victory will signify victory for the people. And it will start nationwide conversations on elites to go back to serve their communities. If you lose, it's going to be tough. And of course, I also have to mentally prepare myself for the two extremes. In elective politics, it's a dice. It's not always, a clear win.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah.
I think first of all, I want to commend you for. I mean, there's so many areas where you have entered as virgin areas and you have transformed them. That's why I'm excited about this, and this is one of the reasons that I reached out to you. One of the reasons that inspired me about you was when you started the investigation about the Kampala folks who are there's a Kampala street that you investigated where folks were stealing people, citizens. I don't know if you remember that investigation.
It was called Chifes, Uganda's
Chifes, yes, Chifes. Oh my goodness. I looked at that investigation and I was like, this guy is on another level. You are the first in that field, and you completely transformed how we behave in those areas, even when we are at Kampala. So one of the reasons I'm excited about you is because of that initially, but also AIIJ has been doing well. There's a lot of projects that you have handled really well. So I really think that the people of Bamutakudde are very fortunate to have you to come out. But I also think that you've been very courageous to come out and serve the people at this level, because you could be serving Uganda in so many different areas, and you could even be in the diaspora, because as I've told you, many of us decided to stay here, even though there's a lot that we can offer back home. So when we see people like you, people of your caliber, come out and decide to serve the country in the way that you're serving it, regardless of all the policies that are being drafted by the Legislative Assembly, such as the Sovereignty Bill and all other policies that could potentially deter how you serve your community.
Yeah.
The fact that you're coming out to serve and you're humbling yourself to take off your PhD, put it aside, take off your ties and put it aside. You could even stay in the ties as well and interact with the people at the grassroots level to build the promised land from the ground up. For me, that's the reason why we're having this conversation even
No, I'm really excited because I feel, I mean, I think I've achieved as a journalist. I think I'm the most, if not, I am the most decorated journalist of our time. I think I have 48 awards with my name written on them, and this is my home office, so I wish I would show you, but these are, oh, by the way, so I'm just going to show you. So they're all these awards, up there, and this is another one. But I think my most exceptional award, which I love, is this one. So this is the BBC Komla Dumwa Award.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's very heavy, by the way, very heavy.
I'd imagine.
And it has my name on it. This is an award that is given to one journalist every year for exceptional journalism. It is just one of the so many. I think there's so many of them that are all up there. But I just keep them to really remind me. I just keep them to really remind me about the extra work that I have done in the journalism space. And when I felt that I had done whatever I had done in the newsroom and I had excelled, I started up this entity, the African Institute for Investigative Journalism, that of course has been doing amazingly well. We've trained over 1,000 journalists across Africa. We've investigated stories that you've seen on our different social media, channels. We started the Hard Questions show for accountability. Currently, we are struggling. We are really, really struggling as an organization. And maybe I should tell you this. The organization's accounts were frozen, completely frozen. So I couldn't pay salaries. I couldn't pay rent up to now. I sent staff on leave because I couldn't pay for them. We submitted everything. But we haven't gotten any feedback. My personal accounts are frozen, as well. I'm still trying to comply with authorities, and I pray that maybe we can have all that resolved and go back to work. It is not only AIJ, there are other organizations which have been,
Agora, for instance.
There's Agora, there's the African Center for Media Excellence.
Yes.
There is the Center for Constitutional Governance. There is the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies. There's all HRNJ, Human Rights Network for Journalists. All these organizations whose accounts have been frozen, and it's really been tough for them. And it sort of has, affected us as a people. Daktari, you're welcome. So really, but we continue to do the work that we're doing. So for me, this a way of coming back and serving my community. Thank you. Doc, while you are away, I've been talking for the last 2 hours.
Yeah, it really has been talking for the last couple of hours.
Thank you, Solomon. I'm sure I will listen to the space and learn a lot. I don't think I can say anything because I really wasn't here, but I will learn a lot from what you said, and maybe Henry will summarize for me what I missed.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, I'm actually
he
going to
will.
I'm going to let Solomon summarize for you what he said. I've been interrogating him on a lot of issues. There's a lot of promises that he has made that he's going to work on. He's planning on building a strategic plan. He wants to build structures in Bamutakudde and create systems of governance. A lot of insufficiencies in Bamutakudde right now that he thinks he can resolve and make the village more efficient, running more efficient as a village. And he thinks that it's going to become the model city or the model village in Uganda that other folks will learn from and try to emulate. But let me give him an opportunity to give you a little bit of preamble, body, and summary of what he has told us today as he wraps
All right.
up as well. And then I'll invite you
Yeah.
to respond to that, and then we shall wrap up.
Okay. So yeah, Dr. Stella. So really, what when I came out to stand, to declare my intentions to stand for LC1 for Bamutakudde village. First of all, let me introduce the village itself. So the village, Bamutakudde village, is located in Dundu Parish. Dundu Parish is located in Champisi sub-county. Champisi sub-county is located in Mukono North constituency, which of course has two sub-counties. It has Champisi sub-county and Nama sub-county. These two sub-counties make up Mukono North constituency. Mukono North constituency is located in Mukono district. I moved here 10 years ago. This is where we constructed our home. This is where we stay with, my wife, kids, my family. I have, the kids have grown up here. They interact directly with the community. And for me, this village, even when I die, Webanzika. These are my burial grounds now. So everything that matters to it touches directly my very existence as a person, as a family. So when I see things going wrong and we report to the chairman and the chairman takes them lightly, it really annoys me. When we are driving out of the village, I mean, it's people are beginning to construct, so houses are beginning to come up, but there are villagers also who have been there for quite a while. As you're driving out of your gate and going home, and you see how people are walking long distances, ogenda ku luzzi, we don't have water, literally abantu bafukamira ku luzzi lw'omanyi Dr. Stella, ne bateekayo ekidomola mu luzzi ne bakinyiga gagendemu, ne bageetikka ne bateekako empumumpu ne beetikka ku mutwe, and they have to walk long distances. And yet the village on average gets about 15 million shillings every month. So when you see all those things, the chairman then looks at you like, and we've struggled with that for the last 5 years as during his, tenure as chairperson of the village. We've had security concerns, which, he addressed. So I felt like, what? We have been able to stomach all this for the last 5 years. I can't stomach it anymore. I want to actually contribute to the community I come from and make it better. So when I declared my candidature, the reactions are what really surprised me. Henry and Dr. Stella, I would encourage you to go to my X post that I put out with just that poster and look at the comments and see how divided they are. They're quite interesting because they could be even, Dr. Stella here is a researcher. You could really use that post as a case study to understand the mindset of Ugandans with LC1 politics, and work out a methodology and see how we can study that reaction. There are those that are really, really excited, and and they're excited and they're saying the elites need to go back to serve their communities. But there are those who are saying, what is a PhD candidate, executive director, Richmond? What are you're stooping so low? Like, what are you doing at an LC1 level? Like, you deserve to come for MP level. And I've been asking them, why do you think so? Because they have underrated the positions of LC1 to be those for the P7 dropouts, the drunkards, abantu bawansi. And that is the level of seriousness that they've given it. So I was telling Henry earlier that because we have left the LC system to the people who we think are P7 dropouts, drunkards, that is exactly how our villages are going to be treated. Kubanga mwabasoma, you don't want to come back and serve the community. You can imagine you a PhD, with all your monies and executive directors and everything and your medicine, or General Jacko, you come to the chairman and tell them something and they say, Serwanjja, wanonza afugao. Because he has the power. And indeed, there's nothing you can do. Power. The best you can do is shout and start shouting matches and then walk away. And I was telling Henry that because we have undergraded the LC system to that level, the level of service delivery at the village level is significantly impacted. Why? Is no any form of accountability. Chairperson senteze chala steka mungweze mumpaleze nizigule bazawaka. So you can't follow the money because who are you anyway to ask? There's no any form of transparency in resource utilization. They are not following up on government programs, or they can easily be corrupted. When you go to check for PDM money, PDM bivem, because they are not following up on government programs to ensure that these services come to the people. But most importantly, because they are, there is no plan for the village. My village did not have any village meeting the whole of last year. All of it. No village meeting whatsoever. I talked to the chairperson, and he's like, are you taking away my power? I'm like, no, I'm just advising, sir, Mr. Chairman. So what I told Henry is that when we who have the expertise in financial management, in project planning, project implementation, in monitoring and evaluation, when we bring back our expertise and take it to our grassroots villages, we will have more impact because we will deliver those services to the communities we are coming from. Jetusula. Nigerians have a saying that however far a man urinates, the last drop falls at his feet. So you may go everywhere you want to go, but you'll come back to this home. You will come back here. Therefore, when we come into these positions of leadership and we set up systems that work by, for example, I was telling Henry, really to wrap this up, we are going to sit as a village. We're going to open up a bank account for the village where all the monies collected at the village level are deposited, and therefore all transactions can be followed. We are going to sit as a village and do a strategic plan based on the village needs for 5 years. We talk about kusima nzizi tano tugenda zisima mu quarters chi. We are going to do every year's plan. We are going to do an annual budget that we can send it tugenda zijja wano, and we put it. We are also going to do bylaws for the village. Tetulina mateeka gatufuga ku kyalo. You know, you find kids during school time, they are at home, but we have a UPE school in the neighboring village. And obuuza omukyalo oba gwosanze omwana lwaki tali ku ssomero, tasoma lwaki ngate UPE weeri, you know. But we will also put in place, you know, we will do resource mobilization out of the village, you know, by reaching out to our friends, for example, our friends in the diaspora. For example, you know, entities have corporate social responsibility. For example, government agencies to follow up on government programs to bring them closer to the people. We're able to bring all our networks on board so that we can build this village that we call home to provide better services for the people. Now, once that is done, then we set up accountability mechanisms where we can follow the money to the last end point. We don't have an office village, a village for the office for LC1. The LC1 has been in our chairman's home. And I'm trying to say that as a village, we have to construct or we have to rent an office for the village. Office zeno no za mitwalo ejo etano, about 50,000. Ekinene nnyo woba ofunye nga nnene nungi 100,000 per month. And I believe if we factor that in our budget, the village can be able to pay for its office, so that we have a formal place where people come to receive services, to be given all these amenities that come with being a village of Bamutakudde village. So really, by and large, Dr. Stella, is that we get easy in, you know, where we have been working, where we've been managing people, managing resources, and that whole expertise together biri tawan kuchalo. We then are able to take the village forward. Yeah, that's pretty much the summary of it for the last 2.5 hours.
I know, very interesting summary, which is, I think what he did tell you is how he hopes to tap into the diaspora, on how the diaspora can help him build these systems, but also educate the people.
Yeah, no. So Dr. Stella, I was just trying to say that everyone in the diaspora, and I've had an opportunity of being in the diaspora, really, not really staying there, but seeing how hard people work to earn that $10 or $10. People go for shift after shift after shift to work. And they believe that if we create an accountability system where their monies can be followed, okugeza, okusima oluzzi. If I said okusima oluzzi, like sinking a borehole here, takes about 6 million shillings. And I mean, really, do zimba, you know, like with the bricks and then putting the pump and the pipe and the tank so that we can pump water from underground and, you know, put it into a tank and people can have access to water. When we put in place those systems, then you're very assured that that money will be accounted for and the services will be provided to the people. So I was just telling Henry that once those systems are ready and they are being checked, then I'll be able to reach out to say, I'm on a campaign to construct a well for my village. I need the diaspora to support me on that. And because we've set up those systems, then we are able to do all those things. So one of the things that we are going to first do is to set up systems that work, that are transparent, that actually follows the money to the last user. The second thing is, you know, we would love the members of the diaspora to share with us their expertise, their thoughts, thinking along together. For example, I would call for a meeting and I say, Dr. Stella, if I had this challenge, how do you think, you can, how would you address this community problem? Ebintu nga, for example, byenkugambye nti nze njogera oluzungu lungi. I can come to you and Dr. Stella, manyi njogera oluzungu ku kyalo naye sheka abantu tebabitegeera. What can I do? How can you support? Ndesewo systems abantu bayomba biki, nongamba oyinza okungamba mayisa olosoko kakkane maybe obintu like bakwate mpola mpola, process by process. So hearing, sharing the weight of my leadership with some people who have done this before, like you, and giving some strategic direction and guidance on taking the village forward. At the end of the day, I think your vision is also to give back to community by sharing your knowledge and expertise on handling a couple of things. I think the last one was that their donations, I've been there, I've been in the US where, they have different seasons, and I think Canada and Germany and all, Europe has these seasons where you have summer, which is now currently going on, and go to Muzidam for fall, for winter, the next summer that comes to Egala Kujayo KCD, eri waggulu gye wakweka waggulu eyo gijeyo gyemu engoye. So most likely you have clothes because the next summer comes with this new fashion. So what I saw is that people just dump these clothes, into, some of them put them in the dustbin, or others just take them to a, schools have also charity spaces where they drop them. But we could also mobilize those clothes, and ezimu zikyali nnungi oba oyinza nogamba nsigenda kugaba ngoye ez'abaana bange. I can be able to support your children ku ground, the village, because tukyalina abaana bambala engoye ezirimu ebituli ku kyalo kya Bamutakudde kuno, and that shot will be a miracle for them. Like, it's Christmas and we are giving out clothes to the village, zizze bane mujje mulondemu engoye ezibatuuka, engatte ezibatuuka. We have mobilized for you. It's time for us to give back to community and we celebrate together. But most importantly, the last one is school going children. Basic, penny, to just go to school or go to reach out to the diaspora community. Does eyinza okuyambako abaana babiri abali mu primary oba pencils to just support the kids to go through an education. Henry and Dr. Stella, I talk for a living, so I will not stop until you keep quiet. But over to you. Yeah,
that's true. Dr. Stella, after having heard everything that Solo has told you, I wonder what your thoughts are in regarding to what genuine partnerships between villages and the diaspora should look like. But you could also touch on other areas that he has touched. Of course, he has not told you that next Tuesday's election is a high-stakes election. If it doesn't make it, how does it break the nation pretty much, right? Because we think that he should make it because he's good. He has been accomplished in all the areas that he has touched on. So we have the assumption that once he becomes chair LC1, but Bamutakudde will actually be well represented, and perhaps it will inspire other folks, including some of us in the diaspora, to go back home and become LC1 chairman, and also build similar systems that is building in Bamutakudde. Right? Your thoughts, Dr. Stella, based on what you have done as someone who served in Bulindo LC1 Council, but also your experience in the diaspora. What are your thoughts on what Solomon has shared?
So just to say to Solomon, I'm very proud of you. Maybe to start with saying Ngachitalo Sebo, because I understand you were at a burial, and send my commiserations to you and the people who whose burial you attended. So when I heard about Bamutakudde in Dundu in Mukono North constituency, I was tickled, Solomon. I was tickled because in terms of your profession, I think you're among those people that we respect, like the work you do. You know, I respect your accolades, your achievements, even when there may be criticism, right? And so combining your journalism profession, like you're at the apex and you're doing your PhD, abakola PhD tuli batono nnyo ababitegeera even the value why one would invest years in studying towards a PhD tuli batono, and then abamaliriza tuli batono nnyo, right? And so I think for me, I celebrate you, I celebrate the bravery, and that's the first thing I wanted to say. It's not a mean achievement, and I think nekyokuba wazimba ssebo wazimba eddundu bameka emyaka gye abatannaba kuzimba, oli ssemaka oli mutaka eddundu, and so there's a lot of accomplishment. So why would someone who's so accomplished want to join LC1? And I think for me, you probably missed the introduction. I said I served as a secretary of LC1 Bulindo until my arrest in 2018. I was the secretary. Nganze nkwata obutabo bwa meeting, nze nkuma minutes. And for me, it was about service, and I wanted to know about Bulindo. I was interested in security. I was interested in who the village people were, and I wanted to solve issues. So service, that is what service means. But for me, my service was very self-centered, very selfish. Nga chinkwatako, as you said, ngenda kubeerawo mbeerawo bajja kunziikawo wange. And serving in that case was about doing something for me. Kyali kyange nga sikolera balala. And so my first sort of question would then be, having contested in many different things in Uganda and lost, if you're going to participate in an election next week, do you have competition, and have you thought about competing to win? Because akantu akataliimu kaveeri ne kakuba Solomon ne kakuba nga tewabitegekera akantu ntu n'olaba akantu nno koyisa abanywi b'omwenge abazimba gundi tekalina nviiri kali awo kalina amalibu katambula kaseesa empale ne kajja ne kakuba ne kakuggyako obwa chairman. What happens in terms of your vision and your dream and your service? Or have you taken care of that front in terms of the money? So that's the first question for me. I think when you think about competitions, we think that we understand the logic of the voters. Ebya Uganda munnange balonda butakataka ne bakulekawo ne PhD yo n'amawulire go n'oluzungulo ne plan zo zonna bakulekawo. So ekyo kikulu. Ekyokusatu, so the first was congratulating you. The second is to ask if there's an election involved in Uganda, we don't take things for granted. And for me, I talk about this really as a lesson I learned from the 2021 elections, right? That studying our competition is not enough. Sometimes studying the terrain and studying what the people who give 15 million to Bamutakudde gain from your loss is the biggest preparation you can do, because your immediate competition is not gwe bakutaddeko naye baani abamuli emabega. That's the first thing. I mean, maybe you have clout and money and power and you've taken care of that, but many times as contestants we don't take care of that. We take care of posters, omudongo, security on voting day, ekitujjamu kitwewuunyisa. In terms of your actual service, so I think for me, speaking from the point of view of having worked in Bulindo, and also my mom was a long-term LC1 Owabachala. My dad acted in the RCs before, long time ago. I think that in terms of your plan, it's important that you take care of the class difference. Fe abasoma. Our issues are not the issues of the village. My beginning story around Bulindo was how I worked with the National Water and Sewerage Corporation okuletanga ekimotoka when we had this village meeting. So a really good introduction that you brought there is this idea of meeting with the community and engaging in those parties, those meetings. We used to meet at a church in Bulindo, which was uncomfortable for the Muslims. So we got from inside the church building and met under a big tree. And in those meetings, villagers said, "Tuyine ezizi zaffe. Lwaki mutuleetera ekimotoka kya National Water? Tuyine ezizi. Muzigogole. Mukole biki. So the people who are like me, who wanted tap water and are very selfish because aba tap water tugaleeta ewaffe mu mayumba gaffe, we never thought about the community needs. And in terms of prioritization, eventually, so we budgeted. I had brought the National Water and Sewerage Corporation. Guys, they needed a few things from those of us who are gated and had high perimeter walls to ensure that this constant pump, drought season, water levels zakanga nga tetulina mazzi gajja mu bitanka byaffe ffe abagagga b'okukyalo naye nga bambi abaavu bo baagala luzzi lwabwe kulugogola. Ze bwe natuuka ku mazzi g'oluzzi nga mabi galimu
enkonge n'ebinoso.
Kati ze babuuza mugakozesa mutya bannange gano nti tukozesa okufumba tulongoose enzizi. And so in terms of their priorities, kati ffe ab'enzungu tebatutegeeranga. Chairperson w'ekyalo ogenda kukwasaganya otya ensonga ezo, right? Is that class differences? Eventually ze nagenda okulaba, because I'm a woman, I'm a mother, nti ekyali kitwawula, we eventually had camps of ez'abavubuka, ezaffe abakulukulu ab'enzungu, n'ez'abataka betwasangako abakozesa amazzi agalimu ebinoso. So how are you going to prioritize the needs of the different classes of your village in Bamutakudde? Because you're assuming your priorities are theirs. And so the issue around the meeting was important, which takes me to the question around your politics. I don't know your party. I don't want to know your party. The hardest challenge around meetings was our political parties. And when I was speaking in the introduction, as we waited for you to drive back from the barrio to your home, was how it was very hard for us to sit. Our chairman was NRM, I was FDC, and we had people power. We hadn't yet gotten NUP. That time it was people power people, right? Nayenga tukubagana ebyo. What eventually became difficult was for us to sit under the chair of an NRM person. So politics, yatulemesa ku LC1 level, eye Bulindo. And I think eventually we decided to work for the community needs, prioritize our community needs and try to look beyond our parties. So betwasonanga sente, gabagamba what treasurer wa people power. Ate cheya mugenda kukolagana mutya ne cheya wa NRM gasobola okuleeta ebintu okuva mu NRM atusakire mu NRM. And so the clashes were often around our parties, and I think the challenge for me was how to cohere, how to come together, yet we are so divided in our political parties. At the village level, and I was telling Henry, Tikubiaro, my boys were playing football with NRM boys, people from families with NRM people. Baine mundu ewaabwe tula baba jasi baba leta mama waabwe ali mu koti yavumya Museveni. Naye the biggest friends of my children when I was having my trouble were from families in NRM and people power, and FDC, because I supported the NRM chair, had issues with me. Back step. So how to balance the different political parties? And I'm talking about 2018. Golimu 2026 ga NRM etukolako ebikolobero. So ogenda tukwasaganya otya ffenna ab'okukyalo. Ekisembayo kino ensonga y'okusonda. Because you talked about the 15 million. As far as I know, there are so many programs, right? Actually, so ekya office kirungi nnyo, My problem with the office of the LC1 again is it's very much a class. To take the LC1 chairman's functions away from the home is very much what we do kubanga twasoma. Tumanyi nti we don't put public and private together. Work ebeerera 9 to 5. Abantu bagala nnyo okujja ewacce yeeka. Okay? Kubanga and so my question then would be for relationships that are solidified in informal ways and must meet the chair at his home, what do you do when you take the services to an office? Perhaps delegate to a secretary or have the LC1 paying some people. What is lost vis-a-vis what is gained in terms of functionality, in terms of removing the personal from the office, in terms of professionalizing? Ebyo tubikola naye ekyalo kifiirwa nga tebasobola kujja kumakya wacce amukonkona, tebasobola kujja kiro, tebasobola kujja ng'oli ku lumbe, obasa musale ku office. There's something clinical about separating your home away from them because of the history of how LC1s worked. And so again, for me, I would ask about class consciousness and what you do when you take your office there, and whose role is it to run that office? Who is mandated to work there? Are you going to now professionalize LC1 chair roles, and are all your committee members kuminomu or are they all going to sit there? Are the meetings going to be held there? If it's rent or space, how is it going to happen? Etc, etc. And so my last point is the diaspora. Tujjemu sente. Soko item. Olokola sente za kakuyege. You have to do the money for the kakuyege, which you need. I told Henry that I ran an LC1 campaign in 2018 for Mukasa Lawrence, who was the NRM chair who replaced the wealthy chairperson that I worked under. So that gwetwalonda yali musajja wa kisaati oba wa S2 bwatyo naye yali wa NRM. Essente zeetaagisa okukola kakuyege zoba osooka otusaba. Henry yandiyisizza akabbaawo abantu bakole pledge. Nga musooka muza Henry ne kuddako ezange n'abalala abaliwo kubanga if the election is next week weetaagayo essente. Bwe tutasobola kusemba Tuesday, tomorrow but one. So if we cannot, and I'm saying this because I run an MP race, if people cannot support your kakuyege, a 2-night kakuyege, they won't support you, right? And I remember standing and running like a headless chicken, standing with this Chisati who had been our defense in Bulindo, standing with him. It is costly to run an LC1. Very costly. I've seen people in their meetings on YouTube, so these radio and TV meetings, asking why are these LC1 chairmen coming in convoys and having posters? It is expensive. Or call a publicity, or we went to the market women, we went to the village is very small and there's no salary accruing, and people take it for granted and think it's very, very easy to run that election. Actually, it's not. You need the finances. And I remember telling people in Bulindo village, muwagira omusajja. Bw'oba tosobola muwa 15, tosobola muwa mitwalo 10. Okay? You won't support his work when it eventually starts. And I think inculcate in people trust. Abali mu diaspora, trust in your projects. Involve us in your plans. Because in Bulindo we had meeting plans as a village. We prioritized. There was the treasurer, Mr. George Musisi was our treasurer. He handled the finances so well. He'd send us mid-term, like quarterly, he'd send us, reports about what the money did, how much is coming in, how much. Nenga nafe tubiraba. Tugenda kusimba, try not dust munje, buliro tugenda kusimba simanya biki ku nguudo ne babiteekawo. Ne tukubikola nga community. Nga tubiraba, it was a thriving community. Naye yaffe teyalinga ye nduddu gy'ogambye ye Bamutakudde. Twalinamu ab'ebisente bingi kati simanyi, I don't know what the status is. I don't know how much the population is. I don't know what the amenities in Bamutakudde are. But I really am encouraged that you're doing what you're doing. I hope you go through and we come back to another space with Henry where we shall be celebrating and you will lay out your plan for us, because a lot of the work that's done needs the support of outsiders. So you're going to tap into the 15 million. You're also going to need to tap into, I don't know, religious, civil society, ministerial, PDM, government projects, but you're also going to need charities from well-meaning Ugandans. Jogedde bingi Henry gwe gwange ono yagambye mwogezi zinange ndasoma amawulire lwakuba saagakola sigakola nsinga kukola lugambo lwakwogera n'abakyala bannange, but I celebrate you and kuwadde ebibuuzo bina oba oddamu kimu oba oddamu bibiri oba toddamu kikulekedde, naye genda osinge mu kalulu kano kuba tujja kuswala nnyo nga omusajja kkubye kisaati nakkuba ow'ebigere ebyazimba
onzikiza oli gw'obadde ogambye yakutawaanya oyo yali ku defense. Nyabo neyanzeege. I think Dr. Stella, I really admire your school of thought. I think you think out of the box. I really love that. Kansoke nga okuddamu ebibuuzo ebyo starting from down. The last question is sente. Dr. Stella, netaga million 3 between now and Tuesday next week. Okola enkyambadde njagala kola the last run through ya Monday. Ne ku Tuesday netaga omanyi strategies nga gwogambye oyinza okwogera ebintu bino abantu ne bakwagala biki, naye ate waliwo obuvuyo obukolebwa ku olwo olunaku akalulu tebakawinningira because of popularity. Wabeerawo strategies ez'enjawulo abantu abamu ze bakozesa okugeza nga abantu oleeta abantu abatasula ku kyalo ne babawandiisa n'ogamba kulonda ate oyo yaani nga simumanyi naye tomwinaako buyinza kuba kwali ku national register, voters register for the village. So weekanga nti wabeerawo strategies empiki ezitambula ekiro ky'okulonda n'olunaku olwennyini. So we need to continue having a very strong intelligence system. Nokola final rally yenkya. Then tulinayo ne okuyega okasembayo awo okulayini nga bamaze obbazza ku side wali. You know akalulu kakusimba mu mugongo kali interesting because at that time biba biralamu, kavuya kabeeraawo, olina okumanya you must have people behind you. Jukira, you're not allowed to look behind, otunula maaso okyuka emabega bakudisqualifying. So there's a lot of things that go on that require financial support. So netagayo sente ezo okunyambako kansoke nakusaba ku sente ezo ndoza tujja tandika ne Henry then ne Dr. Stella nga obadde wabuddemu tulabe tuyinza okukola okitwala maaso n'abantu abalala abali ku mukutu to support us, because this is a do or die, Dr. Stella. Why? Because the country is talking. Every media house is calling me. I mean, I think I've been talking since morning to different media houses. Bonna bagamba tugenda kubeeraawo. Kala Matendo, akaloko, Bamutakudde. Tugenda beera ne live coverage ya kalulu. So the whole country is going to be buli omu abuuza solo yayiseemu. Oba okitegeera. So right now, what they tulina enteekateeka ezaffe tugenda okukolera ekyalo nnene era nnungi, naye ekisooka olina okugenga mu office tekisooka nga ogambye. So I was telling my team today is we don't have any option but to win. To win, like nga ogambye wetawangula tugenda swala okitegeera ate nga we had started the momentum to really have a discussion and a countrywide conversation of returning the elites to the LC system of leadership. People are debating in different WhatsApp groups online, and I think it's a valid thing for me. I'm really grateful that we have really gone there, you know, as a country. Naye nga wogambye oswala omusajja amunywa omwenge ku kyalo asiba empale ng'asirisa caayi ng'ali wali nawe oli wali mu maaso. It is very important. So I hear you, Dr. Stella. There's something that you've talked about, which I will take second. I'm not going to answer the questions in direct order. What is lost, you know, vis-a-vis what is gained of getting the office away from home? Nze nakula ne jjajja wange. I grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother. Ndi mwana wa jjajja n'ekyejo olumu nkolako n'entibula. My grandfather was an LC chairperson for over 10 years, like nga tumulaba era ewaka. Naye nga jjajja omukazi ayomba. Okitaba asanga muzeeyi ku dining aliwo n'omukyalo omulala. You know, nenga olaba amwandikira ebbaluwa naye alina engeri gy'amutunulamu n'amubuuza ebibuuzo gwegamba n'abeera awo n'okufumbira abantu caayi buli ajja nga mukadde agenda mu kiyungu aleeta kacaayi bagenyi n'olumu nga bazefuna services. Kati omuntu azze okukima n'aba nga azze kufuna bbaluwa ya LC walina okubeerawo caayi n'omugaati kirizagana balina okubaawo. Neweesanga nti kiyingira mu nsawo ya famire, neweesanga nti kiyinza oleetawo n'obutabanguko mu maka, nabalabanga mukadde mama ne muzeeyi. They used to, you know, have those, nga muzeeyi akola buli kaseera tawumula kwegamba nga era olaba bemulugunya. Ate olumu nga ne ssente z'ekyalo nga ze tugulamu enva, kubanga jjajja agamba nga muzeeyi mwami tewali nva, ng'akwata mu kabbo k'ekyalo ng'aggyamu emitwalo 2 mugende mugule ennyama tulye. Ne weekanga nti ssente ezaali ez'ekyalo ne zigwera mu z'enva ewaka. Kakati that's the same thing nti olumu n'essaawa 4:05 ogw'ekiro tuba twebase ogenda owulira akonkona. You know, mzee nga ngamba Solo gendo labani akonkona angenda ku luggi ani ali awo nze so and so gwani nze kulaba LC. Kati musajja watu nga ava mu kitanda ali mu night nagulawo mukadde ne bimuyombya. My grandmother would quarrel all the time. Kakati, as luck may have it, grandson now. I know, as you had mentioned, that, you know, we are professionalizing the thing, setting up an office and making sure. I think, and you're asking me what is lost, because Nazi Kuno, LC was personal, Makagamuntu, you know, people relate it at that level. But what we've been to no chukam. We may lose some things. We may lose some things. Like we nti office egenda kubaawo egenda kukozesa like abantu abantu bagenda kubeerawo bafune services nti tugambe nti vice chairman agenda beerawo chairman agenda beera nga mukanga nangina emirimu gy'okukola ng'omuntu. I have work to do. I lead an organization. Maybe currently it's challenged because they froze their accounts and everything. But until then, I was leading an organization with staff having meetings and everything. So we take our system to chairman a job office Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 10 a.m. to midday. You know, the beauty with me is since I am the boss, I schedule my times and schedule my appointments at work. So I align my schedules, but I also say, you know, between this time and this time, Saturday, tugenda kuba tukola ku bantu mwena bayine ebizibu by'amabaluwa abagala amabaluwa mujje tugenda beera okuva. But also we'll have people akachiko kaliko abantu 11 Dr. Stella. Abantu abo balina servinga nange. So tulina chairperson, tulina defense, tulina production, tulina abakyala okitegeera, tulina owabavubuka, akakiiko konna weekali era office tetujja ofuna ejja tuyambako tejja kubeera ya LC chairperson yekka. We are going to get a fully fledged running office that can cater for the services of the people. But be it as it may, oyinza okungamba nti yes tugenda kukola paka ssaawa 4 ez'ekiro, waliwo ebigwa ku ssaawa 6-7 era nga muzeewe bakonkonanga nenzigulawo najja n'abalaba. Kakati awo enkyali nti ekyo nze sikiriziganya nakyo, kituufu kiyinza okubaawo naye maybe oteekawo essimu, maybe essimu eyo nti waliwo akasimu k'ekyalo era ndowooza nja funayo akasimu k'ekyalo, simu eyo eba ekutentalo kyeya waliwo ekiguddewo bitusonyiwa okwokubira ekiro 6 naye we need your support. Wajja beerayo those one-offs where wojja ovaayo gambe banaye kiki ekigudde ku kyalo okitegeera kubanga era olina weereza bantu. So you've talked about what is lost. It's a difficult question. But try to think, I mean, one way is that we can't touch and have it. So we just find ourselves giving away some and taking some. One way songa jobuzizako, how to balance political parties. Dr. Stella, the politics of LC1 in Bamutakudde sub-county is so polarized. So we have different candidates. One of them is from the National Unity Platform. The second is from the NRM. We have an FDC candidate. Then we have me, who is an independent, and another person who is an independent. So we literally have 5 people who are going to be lining up there. So, and there are those loyalties of, I love Serwanjja, but I'm loyal to Noop. You see, the same conflict you are in, that you're a member of FDC, but you support an NRM candidate, and you have to come face to face with your party and tell them, look, I know I'm a member of the FDC, but look, I actually like this person because I know their competences. And most likely you will not even vote, you know, so that, you know, you preserve your heart and not also destroy the party. And how will you balance political parties? The moment we get to office, we really have to do a cabinet. Jukira, Wovera LC, you select your cabinet there and then. On that day, Renyini. So we might have to choose across the political lines. And largely because you also need to be put in check as an LC. Katuoteka kabantu weka, you know. Olumu chiba chibulamu. And you want to also bring cohesion. Nti ojabeerayo ne Stella Nyanzi ajja okugamba sebo mwami Serwanjja ebyo tetujja bikkiriza. Sit your ass down and listen to me. You know, you need a Stella Nyanzi on your team who will speak truth to you. She doesn't care about how you feel. Of course, she will nurse you later, but she will put it in your face and say, sebo. Si bino bitwa planning ogambe ekyalo. Mbadde nsaba tuddeyo ku mulamwa. So Lumu, you need, you know, some people like that on the team. They are a necessary evil, you know, because they keep you in check. So tujageza ko kuleta balanced committee to kuona. I was telling Henry, we'll start a process of healing as a village. I mean, during the political times, we are sharply divided, you know, as a people, as a community, along party lines, Abambonge, Boge, Devi, Songo, Vu, you know, and ultimately, you know, a lot of bleeding has happened. So you need reconciliation. You need to reconcile the village back to, you know, together. You need them one. So Wajabeda Ondo is a process of healing. You know, we'll go through healing as a village to rather consolidate each other and take the village forward. What happens if you lose or win? We talked about it with Henry. When we win, I'm going to throw a party. Because, I mean, I'll tell you, Dr. Stella, I am as nervous as you are because every media house is asking for a pin to this village. We will have bloggers, bonna social media influencer, bonna ekintu kumachaga 29th. The first question is Serwanjja yayiseemu katika pressure. Angie, or even to me, with all the things I want to do for the village and all that, Kati, I think for me it's beyond the village. It's a nation, you know. It's that when we go through, then we will have to say, or people can still go back. If we lose, you know, I made one over arrows, you know, Kwigamba, it will be terrible. You know, a loss is really terrible. If we lose, my strategy is really to concede and say, you know, I mean, I presented my mandate, ekyalo kisazeo, naye nkyali munakyalo era ndi mutuuze. Nja kuwa okuwabula kwange nga nebuziddwako ku bigenda ku kyalo, tujja genda maaso nga tutula mu nkiiko. Era nja kugondera akakiiko akapya ak'ekyalo, tutwale ekyalo mu maaso. Naye okusingira ddala, I will be really happy because as a country we've had a conversation on taking aids back to the one system. For me, and that is for now. That is really for, because you know, I've had professors debating. Professor Tond was debating in PhD class. You know, you have people in WhatsApp groups debating. You have the country talking about me, and you know, and everyone really debating as to whether I am serious or Ngoba or Bachi. So Nensubiranti, it's a dice, darling. Even when you do everything you can in your powers, which we are doing, we will try our best to win this election. I was telling my team today, we don't have an option but to win this election. So whatever we have to do, let's do it. Let's do it. Because one of the members was like, you know, one of the candidates is weak and is from a big political party. Why don't we get into, we have meetings tomorrow with them. We batu kakulaini, abantu babakuwe, yakavemu, abantu babakuwe, newo ita muoba vice. You know, like we balabanga walwe bitaterede, you know, let's look at partnerships, because at the end of the day, we know itamu, like there are no two ways about it. We know itamu. So whether it's bringing on board other people and aligning with them, Nova YH4, you know, it's called, I think it's Kenya does that a lot. Mu Uganda twachigezako ne Kigana. You remember the John Patrick Amama Mbaba Zibesije thing, Nebigana, na yesinga chino, chinetagisa ku bring on board one of those party people and they throw their weights behind you, okuongeza kulainiyo, nabagambia I'm open to that discussion. So no Rachel, chiri very important for us to focus on strategy awo wenyini. Nange, ndi mugumu na yolo muntu ya, ndi muntu. Naye nzikiriza nti groundwork tumukoze. We have done grassroots mobilization. I'll tell you this, we went door to door, netutula nabamama, netunywa chai, netuogera nga buli maka tugamalako eddakiika 3. Nze gwolaba mbadde sikyakola wadde.
What is your population size?
So ng'ekyalo in the national register, air voters register, we closed it at 245 people.
245? Okay.
Yeah, people. So we've been doing door to door kati timu yange ngambi encha 12 zennyini ng'ovuddeyo mu kikomera kyo ssebo. So we are going to go again door to door to collect a mini rally in the evening. Abantu mbagabule kachai n'omugaati. Then encha ku Tuesday tugende kuwali kugombolola tulabe binava mu kulonda. But really, in terms of the D-Day tomorrow, tugenda take away embeera nti ku ground kwetuli tukoze ekikoze ekinene ground abatuuze obakkakkanya okuddamu ebibuuzo byawe byonna naye njagala nkuwulira si kyangu ng'omusajja alina PhD oba alina amaka olina kukola bicu kimu n'otuula n'omusajja n'agamba bulijjo tuyitako wano mu mmotoka totubuuza kakati tula wansi mwami Serwanjja naye nga kugamba ekyo n'okugamba ssebo nsaba kunsonyiwa sijja kuddamu kukuba nfuufu. So it has been a humbling experience even at a personal level of humbling myself before my village mates and getting off the old titles and everything and being able to humble myself and talk and debate with my fellow villagers. So it's really been a very interesting experience running an LC election. Dr. Stella Nyanzi yogeddeko ku kya nomination. Dr. Stella Nyanzi abaana bateeka ssente mu nomination. Nentya. I was scared. Like people brought vans and cars and trucks and nentya nengamba bannange, what is this? I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. Borders were for hire. Nebazirinya like bwaliwo omutwalo kola rale bagamusenge twagala ebiri sebo like banangi kyekigenda maaso. So of course it goes to the very monetization of our politics,
right?
That's what we are. It even gets crazy at parliamentary level. Budget, you have mobilized resources and it's really costly. Dr. Stella, those are the things that I have been able to share and answer. I admire your brains because quite honestly, you really are thinking out of the box. I would really need you, consult you. Mukama tuyambe tuyitemu ngenda kujewo twogeremu naawe engeri gye tuyinza okukola mu strategic plan y'ekyalo, what is realistic. Mbikuyitiremu nja kukola byenkoze mbikupresentingirewo. Your guidance will be very, very appreciated in terms of chusa wali wano yitawo kwatamu wano legezaamu. To take the village forward. But I'm really, really excited about my village and what it's going to become if well managed. Neyanza nyonyabu.
And I webale tulambulira nsonga. Thank you very much. I wish you very good luck, and I'm looking forward to the party on Tuesday night, or is it Wednesday? What is the party?
Tuesday night. Gwino kugwa. But
whatever happens, just to say, no kuketa koka, just participating is a win, because
I think so. Yeah.
Humbling oneself down and making that poster that says LC1, I think you're setting an agenda for us. You're calling us back to serve and to question why we think we are too good to be LC1 chair people. So webalenyo, and whatever happens, webatakulonda losi yawe, but fetujja kwagala tukomewo tukabe nawe kubanga there's nothing like losing alone. Okubeera nga toyina gy'okaabira kubuulira abantu nti bannange I lost naye bino bye nayize is important as well. I really hope you come back when you're LC1 chairperson to strategize with us in the panel collectively. But even if someone else goes through, I think Henry's panel should be your panel to come and talk about the pain of losing an LC1 election. I think when I lost the Kampala Woman Member of Parliament campaign, I wanted to be able to talk about my lessons and there was no space. So nize kusinga. Henry, simanyo about sharing the number. Have you shared the number publicly with people? so that we can send contributions?
Yes, I've been sharing the number. It's on your screen right there. I mean, if you're the folks who are following us, the number is on your screen. You can send Wave, you can send all other means to plus 256 774 380945. The names Solomon Serwanjja in his names as they look there. So if you have $20, $100, ekikumi olwataano olwasatu olwabiri muzituwate muleme zitulangira tugende tunoonye akalulu. Ekinaabayo kyonna we shall talk about it.
Bazituwe for the last leg. The last leg can be the hardest leg. Yeah, and we need money for the kakuyege. We also need money for the party.
Yeah, last minute ebintu bikyuka. Awaliwo ngambye leero nangamba mwami Serwanjja amanyi toyagala bintu ebyo naye olina okuba ne ssente kwawo wennyini awo waliwo ebintu ebitambula actually someone told me you're very naive, you're believing in clean politics, because namugambye nze nagambye abantu bengendo bakolera period bagenda bampuliriza era bagenda kunsimba emabega. I was like, Banai, don't be naive. You don't
even have the opportunity to look back.
Politics don't call about you. So what you call, why? Nja kukkiriza okunungamya naye katulabe kigenda maaso.
Well, this has been one of the longest podcasts in recent months, at least. The last such long podcasts happened during COVID-19. But I think it has been worth it for folks who are able to listen in. And if you have any ideas on how Solomon can make it, I think this is the time for you to support him. We tend to think that when we are able to have access to candidates like this, we also hope that when they become leaders, we can keep them accountable at least and remind them of what they told us. And I think this is a good way of starting this kind of movement that thinks about building the nation from the ground up and stop the idea of thinking that we can only be ushered into a promised land that we haven't built. I think it's important for us to start thinking in terms of how do we build the promised land and how do we get there. And I think this conversation starts afresh. It renews the yearning, the citizens' yearning for a promised land, but of course pursuing it from a different point of view. So tonight's discussion, I think that's what it reminds us, that nations are not transformed only by presidents or ministers or members of parliament, but they are transformed by ordinary citizens like Solomon Serwanjja, who decide that someone must repair the place where they stand. Where you stand, start from there to repair it. Every great nation was once a collective village or a collection of villages, right? Building strong institutions was once a simple idea, as you mentioned earlier in your deliberation here regarding building underground transportation in Uganda. Perhaps we can start in Bamutakudde to build those underground transportation. We know that every movement begins with someone willing to start where others have refused. So an elite here is delivering himself like Jesus Christ to come and save us from the ground up. And perhaps Uganda's culture will not arrive through a single election, right? But through these small village elections, community engagements, one at a time as we build the nation. And I hope you have the courage to support Solomon Serwanjja as he delivers himself, as sacrifices himself, as he takes himself through this very tough process to grow our nation from the ground up. It is tough, but it's necessary. So instead of blaming every time we lose a presidential election, I think we should start keeping voters accountable from the village level. If villagers in Bamutakudde do not vote for Solomon, they should be able to give us reasons why they didn't vote for him. And they should stop asking for better choices at the national level if they can't accept them at the village level. And I think those are my opinions as a person, as I engage in this conversation, but also as I encourage my peers to take this election seriously beyond all the other conversations that have been happening. Right, this is an opportunity for us. I want to say in every crisis there's a benefit, and as Churchill says, never take any crisis for granted. Right, so the crisis that the AIJ is under constraints because of the frozen accounts. The crisis that you yourself as a person, your accounts are frozen. I think that's where it was God's plan for you to start thinking about how do I thrive beyond what I'm doing on a regular basis. Because now you have access to serving us through those entities. Maybe you should come and serve us through a different entity. And I think this is why you are here today, and I hope you can take this seriously. We are here to watch. We are going to criticize you if you don't give us what you told us, but we are also going to support you where necessary to ensure that you succeed in whatever you have promised us to do. Stella, I don't know if you have any closing remarks, but those are my closing remarks as we end this stream.
Just to pray that God goes ahead of you, and yeah, at the end of the day, you never know, because if you believe in God. And we are waiting for good news. And my pledge, I have pledged, and I'm sending my pledge now. And if we win, I will do my pledge again on Tuesday night. So
thank you.
I hope
you
there
very
are
much,
others
Dr. Stella.
in the audience who are responding to the call. Sometimes we can't serve, but we can give. Be safe also. I know that sometimes they are chiboko. Bemigo. Tebakutega Bamutakudde. And yeah, we're waiting to learn from you and to observe your chairmanship when you come back with the win.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stella, for the contribution.
Your final remarks, Solomon, as we wrap up.
And thank you, Henry, for the support. I have also received it. Thank you very much. Well, for me, really, is getting all the push to the finish line. I just wanted to appreciate everyone who believes in me, who is out there rooting for me, who is not out there to judge me, but is just out there to support me and root for me to the finish line. I really appreciate that very much. I poured out my heart to you and to the people who are watching and to the people who have been following me. I have a great vision for this village. It takes one great leader to change and transform a society, one village at a time. And I have expressed myself to serve, and I'm really happy to keep serving so that my people are better. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I'm as excited as you are. Of course, like I said, I also have my nerve that I put on this bold face. But deep in me, I'm also a baby who, like Dr. Stella said, sometimes requires a shoulder to talk to in case anything happens. But I'm just going to give this my best shot. And I will rest well saying that I did everything in my power, and these are the results. I don't want to be in a place where it's like, just na denti you know. I want to be in a place that I did everything. Henry, I have sacrificed this since my nomination. Like, everything has come to a standstill because I love this, and I'm in this in this to stay. And once everything goes well, then most likely my career is going to change a bit away from journalism to politics, maybe from Bamutakudde to the world. So let's see what the future holds. But let me first start with first things first. My village. The name of the village has gone viral. Everyone is saying Bamukozechi. Yeah.
I know. I wanted to ask you why was it named Bamutakudde? Does it have a hidden
natula kuna bakulu b'ekyalo kino.
Yeah.
Ne bangamba walingawo omutaka ku kyalo kino engo ya Mutakula.
Right.
Kakati we babuuzanga nti omutaka ali atya, agamba aliyo Bamutakudde. You know, omutaka oyo yawona naye ng'engo yali emukoze eki emutakudde. Era ku kyalo kuno kuliko amaka we bamutakulira, era owa muzeeyi Kambwa awo we bamutakulira engo. So they call it mile 00 of Bamutakudde village, awo wennyini we bamutakulira. So but thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you very much. Thank you for
I was wondering, ani yatakudde Solomon.
Engo yatakula engo yatakula omutaka.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much again. Have a good night. I know you are very tired. I appreciate your patience. You've been driving a very long journey. It's been a pleasure having you, and all the best on Tuesday. Let us know what happens and how we can continue to support you as we go forward. God bless you, and all the best.
Thank you very much for having me. Dr. Stella, thank you for making time. Henry, thanks for hosting me. And thank you for your generous support. I really appreciate it very much.
This is the state of the nation. Rifa Uganda. We are deliberate, we are reasonable, we are uncensored. The state of the nation with Henry Ssali.